On a dark and windy night, could you refuse a male fox spirit who wants to forcefully possess you? The girl screamed in her dreams. She remembered having the same nightmare since she was 10 years old, a fox eating her heart. Lately, it had been getting worse, as if the nightmare would strike the moment she closed her eyes. The dream was ruining her sleep, so she had no choice but to visit the temple the adults in town frequented for fortune-telling. Confused, she didn't understand the seer's talk of a 1,000-year fox curse. The seer shouted, "This is the 1,000-year fox curse! It could be fatal!" At the same time, the seer pulled out a bracelet she claimed was a sacred ancestral heirloom, explaining its value and power. It was utterly ridiculous. To the girl, it looked like a cheap jade bracelet you could find anywhere on the street. The girl stood up to leave, but the seer desperately tried to stop her, offering a discount and warning that she would still be haunted by the evil spirit, and no one else could save her. To the girl, it was all just fear-mongering. Still not giving up, the seer lowered the price again, hoping to sway her. The girl stared at the seer, who was clearly just after her money. She slammed her hand on the table. "I'm not afraid of any of that," she declared. "If it comes for me, I'll skin it alive!" With that, she turned to leave. The school was hosting an overnight camping trip. Exhausted from her nightmares, the girl let out a huge yawn. Just then, a friend called out to her, saying the bonfire party had already started and telling her to come join them. It turned out the girl's name was Ilara. Her friend was running so fast that she nearly tripped, but Ilara grabbed her arm. "Careful, don't run so fast," she said. Just as her friend was thanking her, someone else shouted their names, saying the game was about to start. Ilara tried to refuse, saying she wasn't good at games, but she was dragged along anyway. Everyone immediately started asking her if she had a crush on any of the guys and what her type was. Ilara was speechless. She said she didn't like anyone and asked for a different question. Then she tried to switch from truth to dare, claiming she wasn't good at telling the truth. "Name any dare you want." At that moment, a female classmate pulled out her phone, opened a group chat, and presented Ilara with a challenge. The chat history showed that a mysterious, sealed-off area was less than a mile from their campsite. The group was divided, some were curious, while others worried it was dangerous. The girl who suggested it smirked. "I heard that place is a little creepy," she said, questioning Ilara's courage. "Okay, I'll do that one," Ilara agreed instantly, much to everyone's surprise. While her classmates were still in shock, Ilara was already walking away, leaving them staring after her in disbelief. Before long, Ilara walked past a sign that read, "Restricted Area." Distracted by the scenery, she casually started taking pictures. The reason for her boldness was simple. Ever since the fox nightmares started at age 10, she had taken up taekwondo for self-defense. Now, even the ghosts in haunted houses knew to give her a wide berth. She checked the time. It was almost midnight. Suddenly, she thought she heard something and glanced back. What was that sound, she wondered, doubting her ears? Just then, a much louder noise echoed through the woods. Meanwhile, back at the campsite, the other students were getting ready for bed. The girl who had proposed the dare anxiously texted a friend, asking if they'd heard from Ilara. Aiden received the message and came over to reassure her. "Ilara sent me a picture. She said she's having fun," he said, showing the girl the message on his phone. But the girl wasn't convinced. "That was half an hour ago," she pointed out. "There's been nothing from her since." Ilara was starting to think she was lost. The moon had disappeared behind the clouds, and she had no signal. "What a useless place," she grumbled, a hint of worry on her face. "Wouldn't it be just my luck to run into something out here?" Suddenly, something scurried past her. "Whoa, what was that?" she yelped, startled. After a moment, she realized it was just a mouse. But why of all times did the words of that scam artist seer pop into her head? She clenched her fists. If that damn fox dared to show its face, she'd skin it and turn it into a taxidermy piece. Just then, her foot stepped on something soft. Ilara shone her phone's flashlight on the ground and felt a wave of goosebumps. It was a foxtail. A real fox demon? At the same time, a dangerously charming voice whispered in her ear, "Who were you planning to turn into a taxidermy piece?" Without a second thought, Ilara threw a punch, hoping to send the creature flying. But it had no effect on the fox demon. Her arm was caught in an iron grip. That's when she saw it. The creature had 8 tails. An 8-tailed fox demon, she thought in horror, a flash of regret hitting her for not listening to the seer. But this was no time for hesitation. Following the principle of when in doubt, run, she bit down hard on one of its tails and tried to make a break for it. But Ilara was being naive. It was useless. In an instant, the fox demon had her wrapped in his arms. Furious, Ilara shouted at him to just get it over with and stop playing games. Suddenly, the fox demon noticed something she was wearing on her wrist, and a look of understanding crossed his face. His tone shifted completely. He gently took her wrist and said he'd been misunderstood. Ilara was confused. The fox demon smiled seductively. "The one who finds my 9th tail," he explained, "is my benefactor." As it turned out, Ilara had unknowingly broken his seal, and his severed tail had transformed into a bracelet, locking itself onto her wrist. Ilara wanted to die. She hadn't found the tail at all. but the fox demon paid no attention to her protests. He moved closer, holding her hand and vowing to repay his benefactor with all his heart. Alara was completely fed up and wasn't listening to a word he said. Just as she was about to shove him away, she heard her classmates calling her name in the distance. It was Aiden and the others, coming to find her. Before she could react, the fox demon vanished. Aiden found her, his voice filled with worry. Alara, it's so late, are you okay? Did you run into any trouble? As they were about to leave, Alara realized the fox was long gone. Elsewhere, a man appeared behind the fox demon, calling him Kale. He had apparently witnessed the entire encounter. What's your next move, Kale? The man asked. Kale knew that to be truly free, he had to reclaim the full power of his tail by having it returned to its rightful owner. A few days later, the man, Jax, instructed Kale to change into modern clothes and get familiar with his surroundings. A car pulled up beside Kale, offering him a ride. He recognized it as the modern transportation Jax had mentioned. The driver glanced back in confusion when Kale said he just wanted to drive around. Kale already had a plan. First, learn the area, then find the woman with the bracelet. The driver, seeing an opportunity, turned off the main road onto a bumpy side street intending to rob him. Kale realized he'd run into scum. I don't have any money, he stated calmly. The driver, not one to give up, noticed how handsome Kale was and got another idea. Kale just smiled faintly. As the driver's mind filled with lewd thoughts, he had no idea what was coming. Suddenly, Kale leaned forward and whispered that he would send the driver to hell for some real fun. The driver was scared half to death, and in the next moment was on his knees behind Kale begging for his life. Though legends claimed the nine-tailed fox was pure evil, Kale had more important things to do. The driver groveled on the ground, showering Kale with compliments, hoping to be spared. He was now completely subservient. Meanwhile, Alara was working on a puzzle but realized a piece was missing. She looked down at the bracelet on her wrist. It wouldn't come off, and a sense of dread washed over her. In a panic, she grabbed a small knife. She was about to try and cut it off when she felt a firm grip on her hand. The fox demon's voice echoed in her ear. The bracelet can't be cut. You'd have better luck aiming for your own heart. No! Alara screamed, terrified. At that moment, her teacher stood at the front of the classroom, looking stunned. It was just a dream. Claiming she felt sick, Alara scurried out of the room. She glanced at the bracelet on her wrist again. Her period had also come early. Everything felt wrong. Staring at the unremovable fox fur bracelet, Alara started to wonder. The seer's words about the sacred heirloom bracelet echoed in her mind. Her resolve began to waver. The next day, Alara decided to sneak out of school to buy the seer's bracelet. She didn't know what else would happen if she just waited around. She was struggling to climb over the wall when a voice startled her. She looked back and saw him again. The fox demon, dressed in normal clothes, sitting casually on a tree branch. Distracted, Alara nearly fell. The fox demon caught her with his tail, smiling. I changed my clothes and was about to come find you in class, but you weren't there, he said. Alara looked down and realized how high up she was. Put me down, she demanded. Thinking she was scared, the fox demon reassured her. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. Impatiently, Alara told him to take off the bracelet, but of course he refused. Tell me your wish, he said. I'll grant it as repayment. Alara looked at him blankly. He explained that once he fulfilled his benefactor's wish, he could leave in peace. He lifted her chin with his finger, asking her seriously what she desired. Alara thought hard about her deepest wish. It turned out to be asking the fox demon to buy her a pack of pads. The fox demon pondered what pads could possibly be. Jax hadn't mentioned them in his crash course on the modern world. Alara, in desperate need, pointed into the distance. There's a convenience store at the intersection over there. Turn left. The fox demon leaned in close, making Alara freeze for a second. He promised to get them for his benefactor right away. Before leaving, he told her not to move and that he'd be back soon. As he walked away, Alara couldn't understand why her mind had gone completely blank for a moment. But then, she remembered the nightmare and snapped back to reality. She couldn't be fooled by his handsome face. With great effort, she climbed down from the tall tree, dusted herself off, and decided to buy that bracelet before he got back. Meanwhile, the fox demon was on his way to the convenience store, still trying to figure out what pads were. Is it some kind of rare treasure that royals and nobles fight over? When he arrived, he was surprised to find such an unremarkable little shop. The clerk greeted him warmly, but was shocked when he asked for pads. Back at the temple, Alara found the seer, who told her she had missed the opportune moment. Alara quickly apologized and asked again about the sacred ancestral bracelet. The seer played hard to get, saying someone had already reserved it. It was obvious she was just trying to drive up the price. She declared that today's price couldn't be compared to yesterday's, quoting a new price of $6,988 and guaranteeing the evil fox would disappear immediately. Naturally, Alara didn't believe a word of her nonsense or the ridiculous price tag. Over at the convenience store, the clerk had piled a mountain of different pads on the counter. The fox demon was both confused and astonished. The smiling clerk then asked which kind he needed. He was even more baffled to learn they were divided into day use and night use. The star-struck clerk then asked if he was buying them for his girlfriend. The fox demon, beginning to understand, thought to himself, this benefactor certainly has a strange sense of humor. Alara walked back, fuming over the seer's scam. She wanted to call and report her, but the seer's warnings still made her worry that the fox would follow her forever. She lamented that her years of taekwondo were proving useless. She thought about how her friend Wes would laugh at her if he knew. Wes had been out of town for months, and his social media was completely silent. Determined not to be a joke, she squared her shoulders and marched forward. When she got back to her classroom, she saw that the students were voting for a new class president. What's going on? They're voting for Kale, that fox demon? A girl was fawning over Kale right in front of her. Ilara was stunned. Her friend Lulu popped up beside her. Hey, she said. Ilara, in disbelief, demanded to know why Kale was in their class, and why everyone was voting for him. Before Lulu could fully explain, Kyle interrupted. Ilara isn't feeling well today because of her period. She's still a bit out of it. Lulu's jaw dropped. Even she hadn't known Ilara was on her period. Ilara was convinced Kale must have enchanted the entire class to pull this off. Just then, Kale unwrapped a blueberry-flavored lollipop he'd bought at the store and held it to her lips. Ilara froze, wondering how he could possibly know her favorite flavor. She slapped his hand away, refusing the offering. Citing her period, she told Kale to sit farther away from her. Kale understood that his charms didn't seem to work on Ilara. While everyone else was on his side, she remained out of his control. He knew he needed to get the bracelet back first and couldn't be too hasty. So he smiled and asked, "Where are you going, Ilara?" using her first name intimately. Ilara coldly replied that she didn't need to report her whereabouts to him, and she didn't like him calling her by her first name. Kale agreed amiably, not pushing further. Ilara could see he was cunning. A wicked glint flashed in Kale's eyes. His plan, of course, was that once he got his tail back and his power was restored, the first heart he'd devour will be hers. In the school infirmary, Ilara clutched the blanket, her face pained. She was having that dream again, muttering in her sleep. Kale watched over her, not understanding why she hated him so much. He couldn't figure out where he'd gone wrong as he looked at her curled up on the bed. Lulu appeared at the door, asking how Ilara was doing. "She's not feeling well," Kyle replied. She started talking nonsense. Lulu, knowing Ilara didn't like Kale, suggested he leave and that she would take over. But Kale proudly mentioned that Ilara had asked him to buy her pads. Lulu blushed, shocked. Figuring they must be close, Lulu handed Kale some medicine for cramps and asked him to take care of Ilara. After giving him instructions, Lulu left. Lulu crouched outside the door, trying to figure out what was going on between them. Kyle gently stroked Ilara's face with his tail. So defiant a moment ago, he thought, but still just a fragile girl. He nudged her to drink the medicine, hearing her mumble. Ilara's eyes fluttered open, and she sat up to find Kale beside her again. She swatted at his visible tail, telling him to hide it before someone saw. Kale knew only his benefactor could see it. He offered her the medicine, but Ilara refused, afraid he'd poisoned it. Kale offered to take a sip first to prove it was safe. Ilara's mind raced with dramatic scenarios of being poisoned like a character in an old story before snapping out of it. She recognized the bowl as one Lulu had given her before, and realized her friend must have brought the medicine. Though he'd been caught and had been watching over her, she was still ungrateful. A sharp pain shot through her stomach, and she decided to just drink the medicine. Outside, Lulu was still trying to eavesdrop, but she was too far away to hear anything. As she was crouching by the door, Aiden walked up and asked why she wasn't inside. After finishing the medicine, Ilara turned over and told Kale to leave. Aiden walked in. "So, this is the new guy, Kale?" he asked. Ilara paused, thinking, so I'm not the only one who finds him sudden. It was their first meeting, and Aiden politely introduced himself. Seeing him, Ilara had an idea. She asked Aiden if he had finished compiling the data they were working on, using it as an excuse to get Kale to leave so she could talk to Aiden alone. Kale didn't argue and left immediately. As they passed each other, Kyle felt he would get to know this person very well soon. Ilara asked Aiden if this was really his first time meeting Kale. Aiden admitted that even though it was, he felt a strange sense of familiarity, as if he'd known him for a long time. "By the way," Aiden said, "are you asking me for help? What happened?" Before Ilara could answer, he reached out and ruffled her hair. "Don't worry, I'm on your side." This instantly set Ilara off, and she complained that he was messing up her hair. As soon as Aiden left the infirmary, he saw Lulu still eavesdropping. She tried to bolt, but he grabbed her. He wanted to know what Ilara was most afraid of, but Lulu immediately said she didn't know. He asked again, "What is Ilara's biggest fear, or do you know her weakness?" The final bell rang, and Ilara slung her bag over her shoulder, saying goodbye to Lulu. Lulu's heart sank. Does she know I'm a blabbermouth? Ilara was thinking, that damn fox actually left school, and even Aiden was almost charmed by him. Taking advantage of the fox's absence, she hurried to a blacksmith's shop. "Hello," she called out. The owner heard her and came out. Alara held out her wrist. "I want to get this bracelet off," she said. "Anything short of cutting off my hand." The blacksmith rubbed his hands together excitedly. "Taking off a bracelet? No problem." Looking at the array of heavy tools, however, made her nervous. A hammer came crashing down. A short while later, Alara walked out. She recalled the blacksmith's words. "No matter what tool I use, I can't break this chain. The material is something special." Then did she realize just how unusual the bracelet was. Looking ahead, she saw someone lying on the ground. As she got closer, she recognized the man. "Why is he in front of my house?" Suddenly, Kale's eyes opened. There was blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, and he was clutching his arm. "Benefactor," he whispered. 5 hours earlier, Kale had been thinking that he wouldn't resort to this tactic unless absolutely necessary. A nearby saleswoman, clearly enchanted by him, stared dreamily as he asked her to pour him some tea. He sighed, thinking how difficult Alara was. He recalled Lulu's words, "Alara is all bark and no bite. She responds to kindness, not force. And she has a huge soft spot for small animals." After hearing this, Kale had gotten up and left, ignoring Lulu calling after him. Later, he was walking down the street alone. Jax appeared behind him, explaining more about modern life and habits. "Look at me," Jax said, puffing out his chest. "I'm thriving here thanks to my adorable looks. But it's all because of your help." He gave Kale a thumbs up. "If you need anything, just say the word." Hearing this, Kale started to think. "I've put in all this effort to adapt, but how can I even compare to others?" While Alara was at the blacksmith's, Kale felt a thumping in his chest, a clear connection to the bracelet. Just then, a street vendor shouted, "Fresh strawberry jam bread?" The word strawberry jam made Kale stop in his tracks. Back in the present, Kale groaned, "Benefactor," and then slumped over, unconscious. Alara rushed to catch him before he hit the ground, calling his name. Inside, Kale was secretly delighted. Alara, genuinely concerned, saw him clutching his chest as he pitifully explained that his heart felt like it was being smashed by countless tools. She remembered the hammering at the shop. The bracelet hadn't been damaged, but he didn't look like he was faking. Her heart softened, and she decided to help him up and take him to a hospital. He seized the opportunity to grab her hand. "I'm not human," he whispered. "A hospital won't help. I'm in pain all over." She couldn't believe this cunning fox could be so fragile. Kale coughed weakly for effect. She helped him up, annoyed, but he leaned his full weight on her, causing her to lose her balance. They both tumbled to the ground in a heap. Kale looked up at her with an innocent expression. "Are you okay?" Alara cursed at him. He suddenly felt incredibly heavy. Then, Kale coughed up a mouthful of blood, which smelled surprisingly sweet to Alara. He reached up and gently wiped a smear of it from her cheek, apologizing for his clumsiness. She scrambled to her feet, wiping her face and telling him not to touch her. Kyle pouted, saying she was being mean when he was the one who was hurt. She stood with her arms crossed. "I have no obligation to save you," she said. "So weak, making a girl help you." Kale held out a hand, asking her to pull him up. She sighed and offered her hand, warning him to behave and not pull any more stunts. As she pulled him up, she felt something was off. He played the part of a weak, pitiful creature, talking about how he had to grant her wish so he could finally be at peace, no matter how much he suffered. "Is that true?" she asked. "You want me to make a wish?" He told her to think about it. She leaned in close to his ear and whispered that she wished for his injuries to heal quickly so he would get away from her. As she did, she wiped the blood from his lips and realized it was strawberry jam. Furious, she grabbed him by the collar. "Are you taking me for an idiot?" she yelled. "Did you think I wouldn't notice?" He still tried to play hurt. "You're hurting me." She cut him off. "Hurting you? My foot! Stop pretending." Foxes really were born cunning liars. Kale wiped away the jam. "I'm not cunning," he said, his expression turning cold. "There were reasons for this. Don't speak so carelessly." She pointed to her wrist. "I don't care! I won't be fooled by your tricks!" Kale looked down, muttering, "I really was kind, wasn't I?" This felt wrong. He looked up, his face dark. "I've been more than patient. Why won't you accept my help?" She also found it strange that the fur on the bracelet was slowly turning purple. She clutched it tightly. "Damn, Fox, what are you trying to do?" Kale smiled at her. "You're so smart, can't you guess what I'm thinking? If I didn't have to grant your wish to get my tail back, I would have ended you by now." She naturally didn't believe him, thinking it was just more manipulation. "Cut the crap. If you have something to say, just say it." Kale looked at the bracelet on her hand with a complex expression. It was now a soft pink. She kept touching it, and he quickly grabbed her hand, pulling it away. "Stop touching that." Alara was confused. Kale thought she had done something to the bracelet. "This is your foxtail," she snapped. "How would I know it can change color?" Kale was shocked that she had such a strong effect on the bracelet. He took her hand again and gently rubbed the fox fur bracelet. It turned pink once more. Kale could clearly feel that same sensation as before. He couldn't believe that her touch felt so inexplicably comfortable. Alara realized he was testing her effect on the fur and angrily tried to pull away. I can't control it either, he explained. I didn't mean to bother you. She felt he was just sweet-talking her. Now that you're fine, you can leave, she said. Kale looked around the quiet room, then noticed a photo on a nearby table. Is that your father? He asked. Alara blocked his view. None of your business. What do you really want? Kale stated plainly. Since my benefactor enjoys a freeloader, could you perhaps take me in? Alara had never met someone so shameless. You're perfectly healthy. You're not injured. Why should I take you in? Kale explained that he had nowhere else to go. After being sealed for centuries, he was rescued by her and could only follow her. He continued, apologizing for his earlier clumsiness, saying he was still new to the modern world and had only wanted to get closer to her, with no ill intentions. His words seemed to strike a chord with Alara. Kale promised he wouldn't be any trouble and would wait for her to make a wish. In the meantime, he would prove his sincerity. Alara was torn. One part of her knew this was just a trick, another ploy by the cunning fox demon. Another part of her thought maybe she should observe him for a while. What if the damn fox really was all alone? Seeing her hesitation, Kale quickly suggested that his benefactor, who was on her period, should sit down and rest, offering to make her some hot tea. Alara was about to call him back when her phone buzzed with a text. It was Aiden, saying she had forgotten her notebook. Just as she was about to say she'd go get it, he texted again, saying he was already downstairs at her apartment building. In the classroom, Aiden had learned from Lulu that Alara had left in a hurry. He decided to bring her notebook to her. Lulu teased him, asking if he was making a special trip since they lived so close. Aiden admitted they lived in the same complex, so it was on his way. Seeing that Alara was heading downstairs, Kale asked where she was going. I have something to do, she said, telling the damn fox not to touch anything, and that she'd be back soon. Kale had no choice but to agree. The door slammed shut. Downstairs, Aiden held a carton of milk, glad it was still warm. Alara came around the corner. Sorry, have you been waiting long? She asked. Not at all, I just got here, he replied, handing her the milk. She noticed it was warm. Are you feeling better now? He asked. Do you need to take tomorrow off? She quickly insisted she wasn't that fragile and was already fine. Did that damn fox tell the whole class I was in the infirmary with cramps? She wondered. I didn't say you were fragile, Aiden said, handing her the notebook. I had to leave early to deal with something, she explained. Then she noticed he had also tucked some heat packs inside the book. Wes isn't around, so you need to be extra careful, Aiden said. Alara agreed, adding that lately she felt like she needed an exorcism. Aiden looked surprised. You believe in that stuff? Alara sighed helplessly. Aiden comforted her. Even if there are spirits, you'd have a guardian angel, not some demon. His words reminded Alara of the big problem waiting in her apartment. She thanked Aiden, promised to treat him to dinner sometime, and turned to go home. Remember to wear an extra layer tonight, he called after her. Aiden stood there, watching her disappear. He hadn't done all this just for a dinner invitation. He had wanted to ask her why that new guy had called her benefactor, a detail he'd overheard earlier. When Alara got back to her apartment, she suddenly remembered, doesn't that damn fox have homework? She hadn't even seen a backpack. She walked inside and found the room empty, a bad feeling creeping over her. Then she heard a crash from upstairs. What was that, she thought, realizing it must be the fox. She ran upstairs. Damn fox, what are you doing? She yelled, stopping short, when she saw Kyle crouching on the floor amidst a pile of scattered puzzle pieces. I didn't do it on purpose, he said quickly. Are these important? Alara just stared at the puzzle, a section she had just painstakingly completed the day before. She wanted to throttle him. Kale saw other puzzle boxes on her shelf. Do you like collecting puzzles? He asked, offering to buy her new ones. But this wasn't about money, it was about the time and effort she had put in. Furious, she told him she wouldn't let him stay anymore. Kale apologized, thinking that perhaps her puzzles were a way to get closer to her. He promised to put it back together for her. She scoffed, saying it had taken her a long time and wasn't as simple as he thought. Kale didn't seem to think it was a big deal. Alara let out a cold laugh and produced a 29-piece puzzle. If you can solve this in 5 minutes, you can stay, she challenged, starting a timer. The puzzle was notoriously difficult, with 5 corner pieces and numerous straight-edged pieces that could be part of the border, forcing constant trial and error. Even experienced puzzlers often took hours. Kale stared at the pieces thoughtfully. Alara smirked, saying her fastest time was nearly half an hour. Certain that the fox had never seen anything like it, she stood by, confident. Just then, Kale smiled and held up the completed puzzle for her inspection. Alara stared in disbelief. It had only been 2 minutes. She snatched it from him, inspecting it closely. Have you done this before? How could you be so fast? Kyle explained that he could solve a 24-piece interlocking wooden puzzle in less than a minute, so this was nothing. In his time, even nobles and royals had begged for his help with their conundrums. When it came to intelligence, he had never lost. Alara had to admit it seemed the fox was telling the truth. Fearing she would go back on her word, Kale reminded her of their deal. "I always keep my word," she said. "But," she pointed to the mess on the floor, "you have to finish putting all of this back together tonight." Kyle readily agreed. Later that night, Ilara, fresh from her shower, peeked down from the top of the stairs to see how the fox was doing. To her surprise, he was already halfway done. Kale, feeling pleased with himself, looked up and saw her. "Is my benefactor going to bed? Want to join me?" he teased. "You broke it. You fix it," she retorted. As she turned to leave, she warned him not to mess with anything else, or he'd be kicked out in the morning. "Of course," he replied smoothly. "Good night, benefactor. Sweet dreams." As she left, Kale's mind started scheming again. A completed puzzle can be broken. A person without a wish can be given one. Ilara lay in bed, hoping for a night without nightmares. Meanwhile, Kale thought, does my benefactor truly believe that what she doesn't want to happen won't happen? He was surprised she could sleep so soundly with him in the house, as if she trusted him completely. He quietly sat on the edge of her bed, his tail gently brushing against her cheek. "I'm tired of pretending." Suddenly, Ilara shot up in bed. "Don't ever be quiet like that," she yelled, realizing it was just another nightmare. She got out of bed and headed downstairs, muttering about having another bad dream so early in the morning. Then she saw the puzzle on the table, completely finished. She was shocked that the damn fox had actually done it. She noticed a sticky note next to it. It read, "They say the greatest sense of accomplishment comes from placing the last piece, so I left it for my benefactor." He's surprisingly thoughtful, she thought. Seeing his good attitude, she decided to forgive him for last night's mess. Then she looked around and realized Kale was nowhere to be found. When Ilara got to school, Lulu ran up to her, looking like something big had happened. "You went viral on the school forums last night," Lulu exclaimed, showing her the phone. Ilara was confused. It turned out someone had secretly taken a photo of her going into the restricted area during the camping trip and posted it online. Now everyone was asking, "Who is this girl? Does anyone know her?" and speculating wildly. Ilara couldn't understand who would do something so pointless. Lulu asked if she had gotten any friend requests. Ilara checked her phone, and sure enough, there were several. Before they could say more, they heard people whispering behind them. Lulu nudged her. "I think those upperclassmen are here for you." Sure enough, an upperclassman called out to her, gushing about how she had gone into the restricted area alone and how brave she was. "I guess I just had a moment of madness," Ilara said dismissively. Another student chimed in, "If I had been there, I would have protected you." Ilara replied, "It's better not to go into places like that. You never know what you might stir up." The two students were momentarily spooked. Ilara laughed it off as a joke and told them to get to class. One of the upperclassmen took this as a sign that she was concerned about him. If I hadn't gone into that area, Ilara thought, I never would have met that damn fox. As soon as she entered the classroom, she saw him. He had gotten to school before her. She walked over to her desk. "What are you doing in my seat?" she asked, noticing something was off about him. After a moment of internal struggle, Kale looked at her and said, "I find myself a bit concerned about you." Ilara just stood there, stunned. "I didn't realize Ilara was so popular," Kyle teased. She snatched a card from his hand. "Don't touch my stuff." The card was an invitation from someone to meet by the athletic field that afternoon. "Are you going?" he asked. Lulu, worried, offered to go with her, but Ilara refused, saying she didn't even know the person. The bell rang for the end of class. Kale lay leisurely on a tree branch, thinking that he hadn't made much progress in the past few days. He remembered the words of that old god, "Only by fulfilling the sincere wish of the one who found your severed tail can you regain your freedom." But it seemed that woman didn't have any wishes. She had everything she needed, didn't care for money, and ordinary wishes wouldn't work on her. He would have to try a different approach. A voice called out to Ilara. It was a girl. Ilara had actually gone to the meeting. She held the note and looked at the girl quizzically. I really want to be your friend," the girl stammered. Seeing her nervousness, the girl explained that she just wanted to get to know her. Ilara gently took the girl's hand. "Don't be nervous, let's go sit over there." The girl nodded meekly. From his perch in the tree, Kale muttered, "So she's only nice to other girls?" Two other girls walked by and saw Ilara with the other girl. They started whispering, assuming the shy girl was using Ilara's kind nature to get a protector. As they were mocking her, Kyle appeared beside them. "Hello," he said, startling them. "I'm curious," he asked. "Is there anything else you can tell me about Ilara?" Meanwhile, Ilara was chatting with the girl. She remembered her as the student who had run up to her once before, then fled without a word. "I wanted to say something," the girl said timidly, "but I was too scared." She explained that when others heard she admired Ilara, they made fun of her, but she had finally worked up the courage to write the note. Ilara comforted her. "From now on, we're friends. You don't have to be shy. You can tell me anything." The girl noticed Ilara's hair tie was different today and complimented it. Ilara said a hair tie would look good in the girl's hair too. The girl blushed. "It's okay to be happy," Ilara said. "That's all that matters." The girl looked at Alara with admiration. She was beautiful and kind. It was hard not to like her. During another break, Lulu asked Alara how her meeting went. Alara explained it was just the girl who had run away before, who had been too shy to ask to be friends. Lulu was disappointed, having hoped it was a confession from a boy. "You're overthinking things," Alara told her. Elsewhere, the girl who wrote the note was cornered by several other students. One of them slapped her across the face, sending her glasses flying. The girls then began to taunt her viciously. Suddenly, a voice cut in. "What are you doing?" It was Alara. She couldn't believe they were hitting someone with a book. The ringleader was surprised to see her and told her to stay out of it. "You have terrible taste in friends," she sneered. Alara shoved past her. "What's it to you?" she said, helping the girl to her feet. Enraged, the other girl swung at Alara, but she dodged easily. "What do you think you're doing?" Alara demanded. The girl's face twisted into a malicious grin. "Since you're so heroic, why did you dodge?" Two other girls tried to calm their friend down, but she shoved them away. "I'm going to make her life miserable today, and if anyone gets in my way, I won't go easy on them." Alara nonchalantly dropped her bag to the ground with a thud. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked, her voice cold. "Are you trying to start a fight?" The other students started whispering, noticing the confrontation between the upper and underclassmen. Kale watched calmly as it all unfolded. The timing is just about right, he thought. Suddenly, Alara clutched her stomach and sank to the ground. The girl she was defending rushed to her side. The bully sneered. "A little chick like you dares to challenge me?" Before she could finish, a hand shot out and slapped her hard across the face. It was Kale. "Are you hurt?" he asked Alara, his voice full of concern. This was the first step in Kale's plan to earn her trust. He continued to fuss over her. "How did you get here?" Alara asked, confused. She pointed to the now unconscious upperclassman. "Good timing." The other girl exclaimed, "Wow, Alara, your taekwondo is amazing." Alara felt her world crack a little. In the office, the teacher slammed a ruler on the desk. The bullied girl quickly apologized, promising never to do it again and begging the teacher not to call her mom. Alara tried to defend her, explaining that the upperclassman started it. The teacher, enraged that Alara was talking back, slammed the ruler down again. Just then, Kale walked in. "I saw everything," he said, vouching for Alara and the other girl. But the teacher was unmoved. "Knowing taekwondo doesn't give you the right to harm other students. That girl is in the infirmary right now, and you're still making excuses? Unbelievable, this school has no place for students like you." Alara stood there stunned into silence. An hour earlier, Kale had orchestrated everything from his tree. A voice had entered the upperclassman's mind, compelling her to follow through with her actions no matter who tried to stop her. After the fight, two students helped the strangely aggressive upperclassman away. The bullied girl was worried about getting in trouble. "Don't worry," Alara reassured her. "The teacher will be reasonable." Kale sat down next to Alara. "So, you know taekwondo?" he asked. After confirming, she asked him how he knew she was there. "I heard people talking," he said, "but I didn't expect you to take them all down by yourself." Alara scoffed. "Of course I could handle a small thing like that. Just try not to get in my way." Kyle was left speechless. After being threatened with expulsion, Alara was in shock. The teacher, her expression odd, repeated the punishment. Then she explained that Kyle had pleaded on their behalf. Alara was confused. The teacher continued that while injuring a student was serious, Kale had explained the full story, and the other girl wasn't pressing charges, so it would just be a warning. Alara said she was willing to accept the consequences, but insisted that the upperclassman was bullying another student and that the teacher should investigate. The teacher, citing the girl's injuries, yelled at her to drop it. As for her punishment, she was to clean the entire sports hall for a week. Alara agreed and left dejectedly. She quietly asked Kyle what he had said to the teacher. Nearby, another teacher, who had been scared silent by the first teacher's outburst, asked what was going on. The first teacher suddenly seemed to snap out of it. "Just pretend you didn't see that," she said. "I don't know what got into me, spouting all that nonsense about expulsion." She then turned and yelled at the other teacher to control her students and stop them from bullying her kids, saying she was going to have a talk with them. As Alara cleaned, she thought about how strange everything had been. She remembered overhearing the upperclassmen and her friends outside the infirmary. The girl seemed like a completely different person. Alara had tried to apologize, but the girl's friends had been hostile. The upperclassman herself just seemed annoyed, saying she didn't want to deal with it, and that it was just a string of bad luck. The unprovoked attack, the teacher threatening expulsion. None of it made sense. Kale appeared beside her. "Need any help?" he asked. Alara was suspicious. He had helped her a lot tonight. Even the teacher had mentioned being swayed by him. "You're my benefactor. Of course I'd help," Kale said with a smile. That Alara found incredibly cunning. She handed him a rag. "My back is killing me. I'm going to rest over there. You can wipe for a bit." Kale asked with concern. "Is it that bad? Do you need a massage?" Alara refused. "You already took the punishment for that other girl. Why not just take mine too?" she grumbled. Something about today feels really off. I hope you have nothing to do with it. She's cautious, Kale thought. The teacher is coming upstairs, he warned. Alara suspected he was just trying to get out of work. Suddenly, she heard the teacher's voice. Alara, how's the cleaning going? Alara yelped, grabbed the rag, and started wiping furiously, greeting the teacher with a strained smile. Kale stifled a laugh. Brings you here? Alara asked. The teacher replied sincerely that she should have trusted her own student and apologized for her earlier words. She added that Kale was a good kid for helping out his classmates. Aiden and Lulu were asking about you too, she said. Finish up soon and go home. Alara was pleasantly surprised. As the teacher left, she joked, Maybe you can teach me some of that non-injurious taekwondo sometime. Alara watched her go, thinking the teacher hadn't changed after all. Then it hit her. The teacher saying Kale was a good kid was almost certainly because he had charmed her. Kale smoothly commented on how lucky it was that the teacher wasn't mad at his benefactor anymore. Alara rolled her eyes at his fake sincerity. Just then, Alara spotted a high smudge on the glass. Hey, crouch down, she ordered. I can't reach that spot. You can give me a boost, right? Kale agreed, saying he would never refuse his benefactor's request and told her to be careful. Alara prepared to step onto his back. When he didn't protest, she figured he must have a guilty conscience. Can you reach it? Kale asked from below. A mischievous glint appeared in Alara's eyes as she made him shift left and right repeatedly. Whatever makes Alara happy, he said. This is easy for me. Hearing that, she made him move back and forth again. Kale couldn't figure out what little game she was playing. When she pointed to another high, dirty spot, she told him to adjust again, but he didn't move. He's weaker than he looks, she thought. This is too much trouble, Kale said, starting to stand up. What are you doing? Alara shrieked. A hand steadied her leg and she froze. Kale had lifted her onto his shoulders. This is much more convenient, he said. Alara was speechless. What do you think you're doing? Put me down! Weren't you cleaning the glass? He asked. Is this height okay, or should I lift you higher? Move! Alara yelled, her hands gripping his neck tightly. Kale could feel her trembling. She glanced down, cursing the damn fox. Her face was flushed with anger. If you move, I'll kill you, she warned. Kale was about to ask if she was afraid of heights when she tightened her grip. Shut up and put me down or I'll snap your neck. Just then, she saw Aiden standing nearby, and she didn't know what to do. As they struggled, Aiden's voice cut through the air. What are you two doing? The sound of his voice broke the tension. Alara scrambled down, digging her nails into Kyle as she did. Aiden, what are you doing here? She asked. Kale winced. Is this woman part cat, claws and everything? Aiden explained that the teacher told him she was still cleaning, so he came to see if she needed help. Thanks, but I'm just about done, Alara said, asking where Lulu was. Aiden told her Lulu was waiting at the boba shop and that she should go ahead. He shot a look at Kyle. See you tomorrow, Kale said to Alara. I'll finish up here. Alara, annoyed, said she'd do it herself tomorrow. As she left, she fumed. Of all the things for Aiden to see, now it was just Aiden and Kale. Are you going to help me finish? Kyle asked. I'm helping Alara finish, Aiden corrected. Stop bothering her. Kale's friendly demeanor vanished. Are you saying I'm bothering her? He retorted. Aiden pressed on. Can't you see she doesn't want you around? Kale smirked. And who are you to her? I was just helping. Aren't you overthinking things? He tossed the rag to Aiden. Since you're so eager to help, you can do the rest. They locked eyes for a moment before Kale turned and left, rubbing his neck. That woman's grip is no joke. Aiden stood there, a strange sense of familiar danger washing over him. At the cafe, Lulu waved Alara over. This place is expensive, Alara said. What are we doing here? Lulu explained that the street food vendors around the school had all disappeared. No crepes, so I guess boba will have to do, she sighed. Lulu lamented. I can't believe that breakfast cart Kale treated us to was the last time. I should have eaten more. Alara warned her to be careful of people who give out free things. Before she could finish, Kale appeared behind them. Lulu's face lit up. Alara, questioning how he finished cleaning so quickly, saw him offer her a cup of boba, which she refused. Lulu pouted, seeing he had only bought one for Alara. Just then, Kale pointed to his neck. Look what you did. Lulu gasped, not knowing what had happened. I did it, Alara admitted guiltily. It's not his fault. Kale was about to say something when Alara cut him off, noticing the price of the drink. This is over $40. Kale said he had just asked the cashier for the best one. Don't you like it? He asked. Alara stared at him. Where did you get the money? I don't have any money, he replied. Kale just smiled. This face is my passport. Alara stared at him dumbfounded. Wait, she whispered. Did you not pay for that breakfast either? Kale leaned in. Aren't you curious how I can grant your wishes? Anything I want is within my reach. All you have to do is ask. Alara was speechless. Kale stood up to prove his point. He addressed the entire cafe. Hello, everyone. It's a beautiful day today, a perfect day for everything to be free. The customers started murmuring, wondering if it was a promotion or some kind of stunt. That's right. Kale announced loudly. Everything is on the house today. Please enjoy. The cashier who had served him was confused, but her coworker suddenly shouted, "That's right! It's a store event. Everything is free for everyone. Eat up and be happy." The first cashier stared in shock. The customers cheered, feeling lucky, and some even started calling their friends. Alara watched in disbelief. Lulu wondered how Kale knew about the event, and was about to order a dessert she'd been eyeing, but Alara stopped her. Kale looked at Alara smugly. "See? Everyone is happy. I can grant anyone's wish." Alara looked down, a feeling of unease settling over her. To everyone else, this probably feels like a lucky break, she thought. So why does it feel so wrong? Her phone rang. It was a message in the school group chat. Someone had spotted the breakfast cart lady near the south gate. Students were saying she had encountered something weird. One person said they saw her pushing an empty cart, looking pale, and saying she wouldn't be coming back. The nightmare flashed in Alara's mind. A cruel fox demon toying with people's hearts, getting whatever he wanted with a blink of his eyes. Back in the cafe, the clear-headed cashier confronted her coworker. "What's that guy to you? How are you going to cover today's losses?" Alara looked at Kale, who stood before her in human form, but she knew he was a fox demon. It was all a facade, a carefully laid trap, and he was just waiting for her to willingly step into it. Kale saw the hesitation on her face, and a wicked smile touched his lips. Alara walked to the counter. "Is there really a free event today?" "Was it a last-minute decision?" she asked. The sane cashier replied that her coworker was usually so broke she ate instant noodles, and she had no idea what had gotten into her today. This was definitely not right. It had to be the damn fox's doing when he ordered. She turned and confronted him. "Did you do this?" she demanded. She was furious that he hadn't considered the consequences. "Make that cashier snap out of it now," Kale replied casually. "Benefactor, don't worry about others. That cashier has nothing to do with you." Alara was stunned into silence, then exploded. "You're pathetic!" His name felt like a jab to his heart. "What did you say?" he asked. "A wish fulfilled at the expense of someone else's suffering isn't a wish at all," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "It's just cruel." They stared at each other. Kale laughed it off. "It was just a joke, benefactor. Don't be like that." He walked over to the cashier and, citing an unhappy customer, told her to cancel the free event. Alara watched as Kale talked to the cashier, who was now trying to explain the situation to the confused customers. She could tell he didn't understand what he had done wrong. He walked back over to her. "I've cleared it up with the cashier," he said. Disappointed, Alara walked past him. "Lulu, I have to go," she said, leaving her friend confused. Kale followed her. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't know you cared about things like that." When she didn't respond, he continued. "I was just trying to show you that I could do what others couldn't. If you don't like it, I won't do it again." "Whether you do it or not has nothing to do with me," she replied coldly. "There are a lot of things I don't like. Can you just stop following me? Because I don't like you." Kale froze, watching her walk away. If my tail wasn't on her wrist? I wouldn't need to use these cheap charm tricks anyway, he thought, frustrated. Her expression, her words, it was all so infuriating. Just then, Alara's phone rang. It was Wes. "Aren't you coming back this time?" she asked. Wes explained he still had things to take care of and asked if she needed money. He also asked about her new profile picture. "No reason, just bad luck," she said, trying to end the call. Before hanging up, Wes reminded her to eat the dessert he had sent. After the call, Alara decided to try the blueberry cake. Usually, she and Wes would be helping Chloe pick blueberries around this time of year. This was the first time she was doing it alone. Glad she didn't have to listen to Wes's nagging, she happily took a bite of cake. Her phone buzzed again. It was a message in the group chat. The breakfast lady was back at the school gate, looking happier than ever, and her cart was swarmed with more customers than before. Alara was confused. That wasn't what the chat said earlier. Then she saw another message. A handsome guy had given the lady a huge sum of money. Attached was a photo. Alara zoomed in. "Why is the damn fox there?" As she was staring at the photo, her phone rang, startling her. She accidentally answered a video call from Kyle. "Did you get home safe?" he asked. "How did you get my number?" she demanded. He explained he had bought a communication device just to contact her. "Don't hang up," he said. "Did you see the news in the group chat?" "Was that you?" she asked. "The one who gave the breakfast lady all that money? What are you up to now?" "How could I risk making my benefactor angry again?" he replied. "I also sent money to that cashier." When Alara questioned where he got the money, he said he had earned it himself. "I'm right outside your door," he added. "I brought proof." She heard a knock at the door. "What is he playing at now?" She opened it. "If your face is a passport, why do you need to earn money?" she asked. Then noticed his outfit. "What are you wearing?" "I'm making up for my mistakes," he said, handing her some photos just as his phone rang. "Will you be back tomorrow?" the person on the other end asked. "We'll pay you double." Alara looked at the photos. "Did you get a part-time job as a clothing model?" she asked, her eyes burning from the ridiculously ugly clothes in the pictures. I had to sell my face to make up for my mistake, he explained. Is this your idea of compensation? She asked, holding up the photos. Are you still angry? He asked. You have time to stand around here. Why not do more good deeds like that? She retorted. The things you do? They're just like in my dreams. Kale listened, confused, as she explained that she'd been having nightmares about a fox ever since she met him, which is why she learned taekwondo. Things like wishes falling from the sky are usually disasters, she said. Who knows if I'll end up getting my heart eaten? Kale finally understood. So that's it, he thought, a hint of amusement in his eyes as he leaned closer. My benefactor says she doesn't like me, but she dreams about me every night? He didn't care if she was angry. Was I this handsome in your dreams too? What did we do? He teased. Ilara had never met anyone so conceited. Could it be fate? He whispered, gently lifting her chin. I know someone who has a mole right there too. Ilara threw a punch. Fate, my ass! Kale's tail shot out, wrapping around her wrists. I was just kidding, benefactor. No need to be so violent. Let me go, she yelled, furious that he was using his tail again. I just made a huge sacrifice for you, he said. Don't be angry anymore. He gently rubbed her cheek with his tail. I won't do anything. The nightmares won't happen. I'll be very good to you. Stop it and let me go, she demanded. I was just defending myself, he said. Let's just get along. She agreed. He released her. She immediately rammed her shoulder into his chest. She had only pretended to agree. If you've got the guts, don't use your tail next time, she challenged. Let's have a real fight. I bet I'd win. So high maintenance, Kale thought. Ilara announced she was going out of town tomorrow and would be back the day after. Find your own way to survive for the next 2 days, she said, turning to leave. Kale watched her go. That's not going to happen, he thought. The next day, Ilara, dressed in black sportswear, marveled at the sunny weather. This should be a good harvest, she thought. Then she saw a dark figure ahead. It was Kale again. Good morning, he said. Where are you going? I can give you a ride. Ilara understood now. The reason he was gone so early was to book a car. The driver said Kale had been waiting for a long time. Just then, the car Ilara had booked last night pulled up. They both got in. Kale couldn't understand why she'd turned down a luxury car. Inside, an older woman greeted Ilara warmly, asking if she was also heading to the countryside and complimenting her. Ilara turned to Kale. I'm going to help pick blueberries. You don't have to follow me. Of course I'm here to help, he said shamelessly, politely greeting the woman. Ilara thought, he's all smiles now, but I'll make sure he works his tail off later. At the blueberry farm, Kale asked, do I really have to wear this hat? If you don't want to get sunburnt to a crisp, yes, Ilara replied. Benefactor, why did you give me such a shabby hat? He complained. Of course, she had intentionally chosen the worst one for him and had no intention of letting him switch. Chloe came over with a basket, seeing them bickering. Thanks so much for your help, she said. I'll treat you to a big meal when we're done. She added, when Ilara's dad comes back, I'll definitely treat you all to a proper dinner. Ilara smiled. When Wes is back, we'll definitely come. So Wes is her father, Kale thought. He noticed there were no pictures of her mother at home. Is your mother also working out of town? He asked casually. Ilara froze. Focus on picking blueberries. You ask too many questions. Kale realized that she didn't want to talk about her family. Is there something she's hiding? Ilara was amazed. Kale, you're so fast. You've almost filled 2 baskets already. Ilara was shocked. See, you can't say I'm lazy now, Kale said, adding that he was working at 8x speed. Ilara thought, I was just hoping he wouldn't cause trouble, but his tails are surprisingly useful. Kale's basket was nearly full. He asked the woman for a bigger one. She was astonished that he had filled it so quickly. Ilara taught me a picking technique, Kale said. I'm still learning. Ilara came over and saw that he had filled 5 baskets in no time. Why don't you take a break? She suggested. The woman praised him, saying he had picked more than she did in a whole day. Youth, she sighed. Ilara wondered if the damn fox was being sincere or just putting on an act, but he really had been a huge help. Maybe he's not inherently bad, she thought. Maybe it's just my nightmares that make me biased against him. Kale, watching her, had a smug look on his face. Just 1 more basket, then I'll rest, he said. You were spacing out for a while there. What were you thinking about? I wasn't spacing out, she denied quickly. Picking blueberries is hard work, Kale sighed dramatically. My tails are so sore I can barely lift them. Ilara handed him a water bottle. Now we see who the real braggart is, she teased. Kyle paused, surprised that she was giving him water, then quickly took it. I've rested enough, time to get back to work, Ilara said, turning to another section of bushes. Kyle held the water bottle she had given him, a wide smile spreading across his face. That evening, the woman was praising Kyle again. I can't believe you picked so many baskets. It's almost as much as all of us picked in a day. How did you do it? When Kale didn't answer, Ilara nudged him. It was mostly Kale, she said. He probably has a special technique. No technique, Kale replied. Just natural talent, I guess. The woman showed Alara to her usual room and gave Kale Wes's room. Eat up and get some rest, she said cheerfully. We'll need your energy tomorrow. Alara obediently agreed. Kale looked out the window, a feeling of unease washing over him. Meanwhile, Alara went to her room feeling exhausted. She was startled by a knock on the door. Who is it, she thought, annoyed. It was Kale. Are you asleep? He asked. What do you want, damn fox? She demanded. He explained that her room had been quiet, so he came to check. She looked at him quizzically. What's wrong? Don't you feel it? He asked. There's a chilling energy around here. Alara thought he was just trying to stir up trouble again. It gets cold in the countryside at night, she said dismissively. You're overthinking it. This is a fox demon's intuition, he insisted. One moment it's eerily quiet, the next there are these strange rustling sounds. What else? She asked, a little scared. Before he could answer, she opened the door. Are you just trying to scare me? She accused. He looked sheepish. Actually, it seems to be fine now. I was just worried. I've stayed here many times without any problems, she said. Are you just trying to keep me from sleeping? Suddenly, he blocked the door as she tried to close it. Another wave of cold air washed over them. He sensed it was coming from her room. Are you planning to sleep in here alone tonight? He asked. Alara was taken aback, then angry. Of course I'm sleeping alone. Did you expect a slumber party? She yelled, shoving him out. The door slammed shut. She could hear him laughing outside. What are you laughing at? She demanded. Alara, you're overthinking things, he said. It's not like I would do anything if we were in the same room. I was not overthinking, she retorted. Go back to your room. Just call me if you need anything, he replied. Inside, Alara was fast asleep when a strange mist filled the room. She thought she heard a sound and slowly opened her eyes, sitting up. She saw twinkling lights floating around her, and reached out to touch one. What are these? Kale heard a creak from somewhere and felt that something was wrong. He got up and went to Alara's room, pushing the door open. A thick fog filled the room, and he covered his mouth and nose. Alara was gone. He turned and saw something buzzing in the hallway. He snatched at it, and felt a sharp sting. A small insect fell to the ground. Kyle opened his hand and saw that it was bleeding, his brow furrowed in concern. Meanwhile, Alara was walking strangely through the woods, a strange aura surrounding her. She tripped and fell. The fall seemed to snap her out of her trance. She looked around, confused, rubbing her head. What's going on? How did I get here? She realized she felt weak and dizzy. It took her a moment to recognize the forest behind the blueberry farm. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her. A voice called out as if to capture her. A man in a Taoist robe and sunglasses emerged from the trees, believing he had finally caught the nine-tailed fox. What are you talking about? Alara asked. The man declared, I've waited for centuries and you just walk right into my trap. My ghost fireflies were worth the effort. They led you here to your grave. Alara tried to explain that she wasn't the nine-tailed fox he was looking for, but her legs felt numb. The man strode forward and grabbed her wrist. Even if you were Ash, I'd recognize the scent of a fox demon, he said, his eyes falling on the fox fur bracelet. Ah, so that's it. He raised a small blade, preparing to strike. Alara squeezed her eyes shut. The man's face was contorted in a snarl. Killing you is a service to humanity, he yelled. Just as he was about to strike, a voice mocked him from behind. Spare me the righteous act. It was Kale. Using blood-fed insects is a pathetic trick to be proud of. The man turned. Damn fox, how does he keep showing up, Alara thought. You can't even tell who the real fox demon is. Kale continued. What a fool. The man didn't believe his ghost fireflies could be wrong and was about to attack Alara again. But then he hesitated. If she were a demon, his touch should have had some effect. Before he could process it, Kale's tail whipped past his face, knocking his sunglasses to the ground. After a moment of silence, Kale realized the truth. The man was blind. The man shoving Alara aside. So what if I'm blind? I've heard fox demons use their wiles to deceive people. Does your magic work on the blind? My ancestors gave up their sight for generations, all for the day I could finally kill a fox demon. Kale stood silently. Alara thought, such deep hatred. What did the damn fox do in the past? Do you remember this scar? The man asked, pointing to his face. He opened his robe, revealing the garment underneath. Does this look familiar? Kale stared. Alara could see it too. The man's inner clothing was made of fox fur. A memory flashed in Kale's mind, a woman showing him a shimmering silver fox pelt. Wouldn't this make a fine coat? She asked. Kale recognized the birthmark on the fur, the familiar scent. It was his brother's. The woman asked again if he recognized it. Kale's tails appeared and the woman stumbled back in terror. It really is the nine-tailed fox, she shrieked. A man came out, scolding his wife for her ignorance. 9 tails, we're going to be rich. Kale lowered his head, feeling unsteady. He asked the couple if they were in the fur trade business. His vision started to blur. He realized the tea he had been served was drugged. He staggered and fell to his knees. Did they know I was a fox demon all along? He was powerless. remembering the sins he had tried to wash away. Why must I go through this again? The first time was for self-defense, and this time would be too. They hated demons, but they were more monstrous than any demon he'd ever known. A voice in his head urged him to kill them, to devour their hearts and rule over the lesser creatures. The woman's voice echoed in his memory. Killing this demon is a service to humanity. Taking its tails to sell for a good price is just helping it accumulate good karma. Kale could bear it no longer. His tail wrapped around the woman's neck. If the first time I killed was because I was deceived, he thought, this time, it's because I've seen the true evil of the human heart. Back in the present, the man said, now, by killing you, my ancestors can finally rest in peace. Ilara understood now Kyle's actions were all because of the fur trade. Kale's tail lashed out, intending to finish the man. But a sharp pain shot through his tail and he staggered, retracting it. The man laughed triumphantly. Just as I thought. You can't touch me. Those insects really work. Kale realized it was the ghost fireflies, the ones that stung on contact. He couldn't understand what kind of dark magic the man used. Fox, are you okay? Ilara asked, worried. The man gloated. I've been feeding my blood to the ghost fireflies for years, just for this moment. A fox demon can't even get near me. How does that heart-wrenching pain feel? I'm going to enjoy cutting off all 9 of your tails. The man remembered his blade and reached for it, but Ilara had grabbed it and hidden it behind her back. I may be blind, the man said, turning to her, but I'm not stupid. He yanked her hand, forcing her to drop the knife. You thief! You're in league with the fox demon. You all deserve to die. You're wearing the pelts of hunted foxes, Ilara snapped. How can you say that? Weren't you the ones who provoked them? Who hunted them? They're just animals, the man retorted. Like chickens and cows. How can they compare to humans? A demon's nature never changes. If you pity it, you'll be the one who ends up dead. To Ilara, it was all nonsense. Kale had acted in self-defense. He just had the power to fight back. In her eyes, the man was no different from a monster. The man, angered by her defense of the demon, snatched up the knife. Today, I will rid the world of this evil. Before he could finish, a drop of blood hit the ground. Ilara froze. Kyle was crouched in front of her, shielding her. Damn fox, she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. The man pulled his blade out of Kyle. You were in such a hurry to die, he sneered. A blade enchanted with this talisman is a guaranteed death sentence. Ilara looked at the blood on her hands, then at Kale. Why did you take that for me? She thought. Just then, Kale's tail shot out, wrapping tightly around the man's wrist. What are you doing? The man snarled. Trying to die faster? Ilara watched in horror as Kale tightened his grip, seemingly intent on taking the man down with him. Hand reached out and covered her eyes. Kale didn't want his benefactor to see this brutal end. The man struggled, but he couldn't break free. Kale wanted him to know this was how his ancestors had died. After the fight, Ilara rushed to Kale's side. Fox, your tail! It's still bleeding, she said, her voice filled with panic. She remembered the hunter's words about the enchanted blade. Kale grabbed her hand and glanced at the unconscious hunter. As long as my benefactor is unharmed, he said softly. Ilara was touched. He's a fox demon, she reminded herself. Can you heal yourself? She asked. Kale looked down at his injured tail. I wish I could, he said, before stumbling and collapsing into her lap. Fox, what's wrong? She cried, but he didn't answer. She gently lifted his tail. It was cold, not warm like usual, but at least he was still breathing. She took off her jacket and wrapped it around the wound, hoping it would stop the bleeding. After a while, she felt a little stronger and tried to stand. She held the injured Kale, thinking that while the bracelet was the reason she was in this mess, he had just saved her. If she were injured, it would be easier for him to get the bracelet back, yet he had risked his life for her. She looked at his closed eyes, not knowing what to think. In her nightmares, he was the heart-eating demon the hunter described. But in reality, at that moment, he was different. She didn't know what had happened centuries ago, but she didn't want him to be like this because of her. She regretted not listening to him about the strange energy in her room. Determined, she tried to get her bearings. A single ghost firefly flew past. She shooed away, protecting Kale. Get away from us, you stupid bug, she yelled. But then one landed on her finger, and she realized it was just a normal firefly. More and more fireflies gathered, lighting up the darkness. She noticed they were all flying in the same direction and decided to follow them. She hoped they were leading her to an exit, but the path seemed to go deeper into the forest. If we get lost, we're done for, she thought. I can't let him die out here. She cupped a firefly in her hands, its gentle light glowing. When she opened them, she saw where the fireflies were gathering, around a strange plant with white berries. What kind of plant has white berries, she wondered. Then, a voice seemed to whisper in her mind, telling her that 6 of the plants would ease his pain. 1, 2... She gathered as many as she could, believing they would work. The plant looked familiar, but she couldn't place it. She took off her shoes and carefully climbed a steep cliff to reach a plant growing farther away. Suddenly, she slipped and fell into the water below. A sharp pain shot through her hand. It was bleeding. Just my luck, she thought, but she didn't forget to grab the plant. I hope these herbs and berries work. She returned to Kale's side with the plants. She applied the crushed leaves to his wound, but there was no immediate reaction. The gash on his tail was huge. She looked around, feeling her energy drain. She put one of the berries to his lips. You're not allowed to die, damn fox, she thought. I refuse to owe you anything. Sometime later, Kale slowly opened his eyes, the familiar scent of medicinal herbs filling the air. For a moment, he couldn't tell if he was dreaming. Then he saw Alara's small form curled up on the ground beside him. The cold made Alara sneeze, and she woke up to see Kale awake. You're awake, she exclaimed happily. Kale took her injured hand and stared at it for a long moment. He looked so worried. How did you hurt your hand? He asked. She quickly pulled it back. It's just a scratch. The moment their hands touched, Kale felt something was off. He placed his hand on her forehead. Did you go in the water to get these herbs for me? He asked. I couldn't just watch you die, she said, telling him not to get the wrong idea. She sneezed again and started coughing. Kale immediately wrapped his tail around her shoulders. She was that worried about me, he thought, a warm feeling spreading through him. Is your wound better? She asked, seeing him so talkative. He held out his tail for her to inspect. The bleeding had stopped, but the wound was still large. I don't know if it will heal, she said worriedly. As she spoke, she realized he was staring at her intently. Their eyes met and a soft warmth passed between them. What are you staring at? She asked nervously. I know a way to make the wound heal faster, he said suddenly. As she wondered what it could be, he took her hand, the one with the fox fur bracelet. Just touch it, he whispered. She remembered what happened last time and blushed angrily. Can you be serious for once? I am being serious, he insisted. She started coughing again, feeling dizzy. It's because you inhaled too much of the ghost firefly gas, Kale explained. Can you move? I'm just a little tired, she mumbled. Seeing how weak she was, Kale scooped her up into his arms. What are you doing? She asked, flustered. I can walk. If you walk, we'll be here until next year, he said. Trust me. I don't fully trust you, she muttered. He shifted her hand to his shoulder. Just behave, he said softly. As he carried her back, Alara thought about the hunter's words. He said all foxes are evil, but the demon wasn't the one in the wrong. What if the nightmares aren't real? She whispered his name, Kale, and then, thank you. He looked down at her and saw the bracelet on her wrist glowing a soft pink. Maybe, she thought, he's a good fox after all. Alara woke up coughing in Kale's room. I'm usually so healthy, she thought. It must have been those ghost fireflies. She opened the door and heard a commotion outside. A little boy was clinging to Kale's leg, shouting that he had seen Kale in the middle of the night and that the Taoist priest had disappeared after going to find him. A crowd had gathered, trying to calm the boy down. The boy pulled out a scroll and unfurled it. He looks exactly like the fox spirit in my family's painting, he cried. Kale turned to look at the boy, who continued. He's the nine-tailed fox my master has been hunting. The crowd started murmuring. He does look a bit like the painting, someone said. A woman took the scroll. I heard the priest talk about this painting when I first came to the village. If it's not the same person, how do you explain the demon markings on his neck? The whispers grew louder. Look closely. He's identical to the painting. That evil aura, even the mole is in the same spot. It can't be a coincidence. Maybe the boy is telling the truth. Kale tried to explain that it was a misunderstanding, that it was his first time in the village and he didn't know why the priest had his picture. He couldn't understand why they were suddenly suspicious of him. The boy wouldn't let go, insisting Kale had killed his master. He bit down hard on Kale's leg. Kale clenched his fists in pain. Just then, Alara came and stood beside him. He's just my classmate, she said. He came here with me. She took Kale's hand and whispered, Don't do anything reckless. Kale, listening to her, relaxed his brow. Okay, he said. The woman who had spoken earlier warned Alara to be careful, saying Kale didn't look like a good person. You can't prove anything with just a painting, Alara argued. She pulled out her phone. Kale has done some modeling work. There are tons of artistic photos of him out there. She continued. It's the 21st century. Who still believes in demons? Kale glanced at her, noticing that her face and ears were bright red from telling the lie. Her words seemed to work. The crowd's suspicion faded, and they told the boy he had misjudged the young man. The woman from the farm chimed in, saying Alara and Kyle had helped them so much with the harvest. They couldn't possibly be bad people. Kale looked down at the boy. A nine-tailed fox wouldn't look this human, would it? If you'll miss me that much, I'll be sure to visit again. A chill ran down the boy's spine. He is a demon! He shrieked. But the adults dismissed it as a tantrum and told him to apologize. No need, Kyle said. We're leaving soon anyway. The adults quickly pulled the boy away. The woman from the farm apologized for the trouble and offered them a few bags of blueberries to take home. As the crowd dispersed, Alara and Kale both let out a sigh of relief. Remembering she was still holding Kale's hand, she quickly let go. How do you manage to find trouble first thing in the morning? She complained. A happy smile spread across Kyle's face. Thank you, benefactor. I came with you, so I couldn't just stand there and do nothing, Alara explained. Thinking about how he usually went along with whatever she said, she asked, why did you even get into an argument with them? Kale just shrugged. It wasn't a big deal. Alara stared at him for a moment, then glanced around nervously. She lowered her voice. That hunter from last night, is he really dead? Is he still in the forest? What if someone finds him? Kale quickly reassured her. Don't worry about it. The ghost fireflies will take care of the body. It's over now, so you won't have to worry about things like that anymore. Alara fumed internally. It's not like I asked to get dragged into this. But Kale just stood there looking completely innocent. Annoyed, she turned to leave. I'm going to wait for the bus. As she walked away, she muttered, if you're too slow, I'm leaving you here. Just then, Kale heard a strange rustling sound from the woods behind him, and paused, a puzzled look on his face. Not long after, Alara got a text from her coach. She hadn't been to the dojo in almost a month, and since she had the morning free, she decided to get in a quick practice session. Kale sat beside her, watching her get ready. Is this that thing you were talking about before? He asked, still finding it hard to believe she knew Taekwondo. I started training right after the fox nightmares began, Alara said without looking up. If you didn't use your powers, I'm not so sure you could beat me. Kale looked at her slender frame, a smirk playing on his lips. He was curious to see what she could do. Are you underestimating me? She snapped. At the dojo, Kale, now changed into a Taekwondo uniform, walked over to her. Benefactor, are you sure you want to do this? I'm not scared of you, she shot back, and stopped showing off. She patted a nearby practice dummy. Just as Kale was about to ask if that's what she practiced with, she let out a sharp cry and sent a powerful kick into the dummy. It spun wildly from the force of the blow. Kale blinked, impressed, then rolled his neck, getting ready. Alara slowly lowered her leg. Alara, why are you always so aggressive with me? He asked. Just a habit, she said coolly, then added, you didn't seem to mind when you were provoking me a minute ago. In his mind, Kale pictured her saying, come on, you stupid fox, let's see how I knock you flat. The thought made him chuckle. What have you been smiling about this whole time? She demanded. Kale's tail flicked out and Alara threw up her arm to block it. No tails, she warned. Using your tail is an automatic fail. Fine, I won't use it on my benefactor, he agreed, retracting it. Suddenly, she aimed a kick at his shoulder. He reacted just in time, blocking the strike with his forearm. She's serious, he thought. A flurry of punches and kicks came his way. Alara had been waiting for this moment for a long time. After blocking another one of her attacks, Kale complained, Benefactor, have you forgotten I was injured last night? That was the wrong thing to say. That hunter only found me because of you, she yelled, her anger flaring. Blaming him for her string of bad luck, she launched another kick. He caught her leg firmly in his hand and pulled, murmuring, I didn't do it on purpose. The pull threw Alara off balance, and Kale used the momentum to pin her to the mat. He held her hands down, looming over her. But just as he did, she slammed her leg up between his, making him grunt in pain. With another swift hook of her leg, she reversed their positions, sitting triumphantly on top of him. She pressed his shoulders down with her arm, holding her other arm, the one with the bracelet, up high. Well? She asked, breathing a little heavily. How do you like me now? Kale stared up at her and swallowed hard. He coughed a few times, looking away. What's with that reaction? She wondered. Your uniform, he said suddenly. It's come undone. Flustered, Alara immediately scrambled off him and turned her back to fix her clothes. That uniform really can't handle much action, he teased. The air in the dojo suddenly felt very still. Benefactor, Kale began, unsure of what to say. Alara's face was beet red, and she couldn't get a word out. They just sat there on the floor in awkward silence. I didn't see anything, really, Kale said, though a very clear image was playing in his mind. Even I don't believe that, he thought. Why am I trying to act so innocent? Suddenly, he pulled open his own uniform. It was an accident, he declared. To make it even, you can look at me. Alara turned back to him, tying her belt tightly. What are you fidgeting for? She asked, trying to sound nonchalant. Stop being so dramatic. That's not what I meant, he said, sneaking a peek at her. She caught him. What are you looking at? She yelled, her face flushing again. Are you asking for another beating? Kale just smiled, a challenging glint in his eye. Want to go another round? She glared at him. Then his expression softened into a brilliant smile. How could I possibly beat my benefactor? He rubbed a spot on his shoulder. That still hurts, you know. You really don't hold back. What reason would I have to hold back with you? She retorted. After a bit more playful bickering, Alara cut him off. Enough nonsense. Don't think for a second this means we're close. Seeing her mood shift, Kale quickly changed the subject. Are you tired, benefactor? I'll go get us some water. You can rest here. Alara sat alone in the empty dojo, listening to the click of the door as it closed. She rubbed her shoulders, annoyed. How could I let that stupid fox see me like that? She thought, replaying the scene in her head. I hope my expression wasn't too ridiculous. Outside, Kyle was asking a vendor if they had any blueberry-flavored drinks. Back in the dojo, Alara told herself, I'm not going to keep worrying about stupid things like that. The vendor handed Kyle the drink. He seemed distracted. If I don't bring it up again, the fox will probably forget about it, right? Alara thought. Kale was also replaying the scene in his mind when something clicked. He remembered the mole on her chest. It was a cinnabar red color. Not only had he not forgotten, he remembered the exact color with perfect clarity. Sir, your total, the vendor said, snapping him out of his thoughts. When Kyle returned with the drinks, Alara had already changed back into her street clothes and was ready to leave. What are you still doing here? She asked. The class group chat is blowing up with people tagging you about the presentation. Didn't you see the messages? Kale looked at her blankly. Why would I need to reply? You're the class president, she exclaimed. When people can't find you, they come looking for me. I only read my benefactor's messages, he replied smoothly. I don't look at anyone else's. You still have responsibilities. He gave her a charming, helpless look. Then you'll have to teach me. I promise I'll be a diligent student. Later, at the school gate, Alara was trying to convince the gatekeeper to let her back in. I just need to grab my USB drive, she pleaded. I forgot to copy a file. I'll be in and out. No one will catch me. The guard glanced around and nodded. All right, but be quick about it. When they got to the computer lab, Alara remembered all the doors were locked. Just as they were about to give up, classroom door down the hall opened, and a teacher walked out, a large ring of keys jingling at his waist. Teacher, Kale called out. The man turned. Kale casually pointed a thumb towards the computer lab. Do you have the key for this room? If you do, open it for us. Kyle, don't just ask a random person for their keys, Alara hissed, mortified. The teacher walked closer, pointing a finger at them. What are you two doing here out of uniform? Alara looked closer and her stomach dropped. It was the principal. She stammered, trying to think of an excuse. Kale, however, remained unfazed. We need to get in that room. If you have the key, please open the door. Smack. The principal slapped Kale on the head with a book. What class are you in? Is that how you speak to your elders? Seeing things were about to get worse, Alara quickly stepped in front of Kale. I'm so sorry, Principal. We just needed to copy a file for a project, but the door was locked. You want to get into the main computer lab, is that right? The principal asked, his anger clearly not subsiding. Inside the lab, the principal announced their punishment. Since you were so eager to get in here, you can stay and finish compiling the inventory data for your entire grade level. Alara couldn't believe it. They had to count mops and chalkboard erasers. Kale, however, was silent, his gaze fixed on the principal. What are you staring at me for? The principal snapped. You got a problem with that? Smack. The book hit Kale's head again. You think you can get away with anything just because you have a pretty face? Showing no respect for your teachers or your principal. He pointed to the door. You. 10 minutes of horse stance right there. Alara, you'll supervise him. Then you can both come back in. Kale started to protest, but Alara held him back and promised the principal she would watch him. She looked at the stubborn fox, terrified the principal would add to their punishment. Just do it, she mouthed frantically. Kale sighed and complied. Proper form, the principal barked. I'll be back to check on you. They both let out a sigh of relief as the principal walked away. Alara saw Kyle leaning against the wall and poked him. Why did you stop? Does my benefactor really want to watch me squat for 10 minutes? He asked. I promised the principal I'd supervise, she replied. As my benefactor wishes, Kale said, sinking back into the stance. Something felt different about him. Alara leaned closer. Will your injury be okay? She asked softly. She suddenly realized something else. It seems like people aren't affected by your charm anymore. Kale paused. My benefactor doesn't like it when I use that ability. So I stopped, he said, looking up at her. Does that make you happy? Alara felt a strange mix of emotions and looked away. When did you become so obedient? Kale thought about the hunter's enchanted blade. The herbs had saved his life, but he hadn't been able to save his powers. He glanced down at his tail, which still felt stiff and slow. I could barely handle her before, he thought. This makes things even harder. Meanwhile, Alara was so tired she could barely keep her head up. Kale watched her, thinking that even without his powers, she treated him the same as always. He remembered how she had defended him at the blueberry farm, and how she had just shielded him from the principal. Did something change in her heart that night in the forest? Just then, Alara's head drooped and she almost hit the desk. Kale quickly shot his arm out, gently catching her face in his hand. He held her there for a moment, feeling the warmth of her cheek against his palm. Alara's eyes slowly fluttered open. Are you tired? He asked softly. She jolted awake. How did I almost fall asleep? She patted her cheeks. Just a little more to go, we're almost done. She looked over at him. And you better not fall asleep either. I'm not tired, he replied. But my benefactor looks about ready to pass out. As if on cue, she let out another huge yawn. Kale watched the faint blush on her cheeks and thought she looked just like a tiny kitten. It was late by the time they finally got home. Alara kicked off her shoes and collapsed onto the sofa. Why did everything take so long? I'm dead tired, she groaned, then shot a glare in Kale's direction. And why did you have to provoke the principal? If you're tired, you should go rest, Kale said, walking past her as if he owned the place. Stupid fox, she thought, watching him go. He's really made himself at home here. She stretched out on the sofa, thinking about the long day, and drifted off to sleep. In a haze, she heard Kale calling her name. The voice grew clearer. Kale, what do you want? She mumbled, sitting up. She heard him say something about not knowing how to work something and followed the sound of his voice. There he was, the one who had just told her to go to bed. Which one of these is for hot water? He asked. Alara's eyes widened, and she froze, speechless. Kale was standing in the bathroom, completely naked. My tail needs warm water, he said casually, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. Why aren't you wearing any clothes? She shrieked, clamping her hands over her eyes. Back on the sofa, Alara was fuming. Did that stupid fox do that on purpose? He's smart enough to figure out a hot water faucet. She thought about the moment she'd helped him adjust the temperature, how she'd seen a tattoo on his body. Why did it look so familiar? As she was lost in thought, Kale sat down next to her. Still thinking about what happened in there? He purred. Seeing the blush on her face, he added with a wicked grin, It's okay, benefactor. You can think about it all you want. After all, I haven't forgotten what happened at the dojo. That made her blush even harder. After a moment of mortified silence, she snapped, Stop being so full of yourself. I'm not going to remember a single thing about what just happened. She stood up to go wash, but he grabbed her wrist. We're not done yet, he said, pulling her back down onto the sofa. What do you want now? She asked, her heart starting to race. Kale produced a small bottle of conditioner. He put a few drops onto the fur of her bracelet and began to gently massage it in. Alara watched his hands, her breath catching in her throat. This is to protect the tail, he explained softly. I can do it myself, she said, quickly pulling her hand back. As she rubbed the conditioner into the soft fur, she grumbled to herself, What kind of precious fox fur needs its own conditioner? And why am I giving a stupid fox a spa treatment for a bracelet that shouldn't even be on my wrist in the first place? As she was thinking, she felt a strange sensation and looked down. The fox fur was slowly turning a soft shade of pink. Suddenly, she felt a tail brush against her from behind. She turned, but Kale was already lying beside her. I'm listening, he said, noticing her gaze. What is it? Alara stared at him, momentarily stunned. There was something different in his expression, something that didn't match his teasing tone. She turned away. I'm done. Don't ask me to do this again. As she tried to leave, his tail shot out and wrapped around her waist. He could feel her tense up. Don't worry, benefactor, he whispered. Her face already flushed. The scent of the conditioner filled the air as the pink fur of the bracelet brushed against his own tail. It was all so strange. Kale took her hand. You're not even done rubbing it in, and you're already leaving? He murmured. Her eyes shot to his. It must be because I touched the fur. That's why the atmosphere got so weird. Don't you try that with me, you stupid fox, she yelled. Don't think you can seduce me. He ignored her outburst, his own robe now slightly disheveled. And do you think I'm trying to seduce you? He asked, his voice low. His tail tightened around her. She blocked his chest with her hand and glanced at the bracelet. It's just like last time, she said. It turned pink for no reason. A sly grin spread across his face. So, Alara, you remember the first time you touched it? You're shameless, she cried, her face burning. She pointed at his tail. I only agreed to help you with the conditioner because you were injured. Now let me go. All right, of course, he said with a smile, releasing her. But will you help me with it next time? She shot him a glare. In your dreams. But the tail is on your wrist, Alara, he argued playfully. I can't do it myself. She wasn't listening. She scrambled away and ran to her room. Blam! She shut the door and stood there, her heart pounding. Does the fur turn pink every time I touch it? She replayed his words in her head. You're not even done rubbing it in? And you're already leaving? Suddenly, it clicked. She felt like she was going to explode. What kind of perverted, color-changing fox fur is this? She tugged at her ear. Is his charm ability really gone? In the living room, Kale lay back on the sofa. I was just trying to tease her a little, he thought. So why did I get so worked up? It had been years since he'd felt that familiar rush, a feeling he'd only ever known when he devoured a human heart. And yet, Alara could bring it out with just a simple touch. He didn't understand. Is it only because it's her? With a flick of his tail, he made up his mind. The more this happens, the more I need to know everything about her. As night fell, Alara was scrolling through her phone in bed. A new message popped up in the class group chat, tagging Kale and asking if he had finished the presentation. Oh no, she thought. I completely forgot about that. She glanced towards her door. I showed him how to use the computer after we copied the files, But does he actually know how to make a presentation? He never asked any questions. She worried for a moment, then caught herself. It's his responsibility. What does it have to do with me? I'm not getting involved. Still, she found herself tiptoeing out of her room to see what he was doing. She saw him sitting on the sofa downstairs, a serious expression on his face. Is he actually working on the presentation, she wondered? He looked so focused. Maybe I misjudged him. She was about to sneak back to her room when her phone vibrated. Crouching down, she pulled it out. It was a picture Kale had just posted in the group chat. When was this photo taken? He'd asked. What is he doing? What is he looking at? She thought. On the screen, Kale was zooming in on a photo from the group album. It was a picture of her and Aiden. He just stared at it, silent. The next day, Alara was heading to school with a few boxes of blueberries. We're going to be late, she called to Kale. Alara, he asked, who are the blueberries for? You stay up all night and you're still not tired? She teased, ignoring his question. Do all foxes have this much energy? Come on, let's go. In the classroom, Alara handed a box of blueberries to Lulu, who was thrilled to get another free snack. Just as Alara was about to deliver the rest, Kale grabbed her arm. He'd seen her hand out several boxes already. This last one is so big, he said shamelessly. Is it for me? I already gave you some, she whispered. Haven't you had enough? He reluctantly let go of her hand and watched as she walked to the front of the classroom and out the door. As she left, he noticed Lulu inching closer to him. In another classroom, Aiden was reading when someone called his name. He looked up to see Alara holding out a box of blueberries. Did you go picking again this weekend? He asked with a smile. I know I said I'd treat you to dinner, but I haven't had the time, she explained. So take these for now. I promise I'll make it up to you soon. Aiden took the box, his fingers tracing the lid. He wanted to ask if she and Kyle lived in the same apartment complex. He always saw them coming to school together. The question seemed to catch her off guard. Oh, Kale's my neighbor, she said. I guess it's a popular school district. A lot of us live pretty close by. Aiden popped a blueberry into his mouth. They're really good, he said. Thanks, Alara. Back in their classroom, Lulu was chatting with Kale. Do you know who Alara is close with? He had asked her. You follow her around all day, Lulu countered. Shouldn't you know? She then started boasting. Well, besides me, of course, I'm definitely her best friend. A lot of guys are into Alara, but she's not interested in any of them. Lulu beamed with pride. She's so cool. That's my Alara. This was exactly what Kale wanted to hear. I just saw her take that huge box of blueberries to class 5, Lulu gossiped. I bet that one was for Aiden. Hearing that, Kale's good mood vanished. He remembered the photo from the night before. So many people hover around Alara, Lulu continued. But I'm most interested in her and Aiden. There's this weird electricity between them. And I mean, they're the perfect-looking couple, right? Besides, you can tell by how full the box she gave him was. Before Lulu could finish, Kale's expression had turned thunderous. Noticing the shift, Lulu trailed off, suddenly nervous. Kale forced a smile. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Because from where I'm standing, the perfect-looking couple is me and Alara. Lulu was speechless. She had to admit the class president was handsome, but it was all about chemistry. You're just dangerously handsome, she explained, like the kind of guy who would cheat. Realizing what she'd said, she quickly made an excuse and scurried away. Just because my charm ability is gone doesn't mean I've lost, Kale thought. He imagined Alara wrapping her arms around him from behind, telling him that he was the one she really cared about, not Aiden. We're a much better match, he thought confidently. During gym class, Alara was stretching when she heard some students whispering behind her. She glanced over and saw a group of girls from another class fawning over Kyle. He's so handsome, one of them sighed. He's like a real-life fox spirit. Kale, who was taking a drink of water, noticed her looking and a smirk touched his lips. Alara quickly looked away. He wiped his mouth and the group of girls let out another collective sigh. Come on, Lulu, help me with this stretch, Alara said, turning her back to him. What is that stupid fox trying to pull now? Across the field, a friendly sit-up competition was announced between their two classes. The teacher promised to treat both classes to barbecue afterwards, regardless of who won. We've got our secret weapon, Aiden, a student from the other class announced, clapping him on the back. The teacher declared that with Aiden joining, Class 5 was set. We still need one more from our class. Any volunteers? Kale's hand shot up. Excellent, the teacher praised. Glad to see some fighting spirit. Lulu dragged Alara over to the crowd to watch the competition. Don't worry, Mr. Harrison, Kale said with an easy smile. With me on the team, we've got this. Aiden looked over, a determined glint in his eye. This is our win. 2 minutes in, both Aiden and Kale were still going at a blistering pace. I never knew Aiden was so athletic, someone in the crowd murmured. Look at Kale's shirt, another girl squealed to her friend. His uniform had ridden up, revealing a set of perfectly defined abs. Dude, nice form, Kyle's partner exclaimed, impressed. Could you move over a bit? Kale said, not bothering with modesty. You're blocking the view. Alara listened to the girls around her, gushing about Kale's looks and his body. He's doing this on purpose, isn't he? Can you feel it? Lulu whispered excitedly in her ear. Aiden and Kale are in a total deathmatch right now. Is there ever a time when you're not overly excited about something? Alara replied dryly, turning to leave. Lulu called, taking one last look at Aiden before her eyes darted back to Kale's dazzling abs. The whistle blew, signaling the end of the competition. The teacher was amazed. What are you kids eating these days? That was incredible. The final scores were announced. Aiden had done 368 sit-ups, bringing his class total to 1,002. Then came Kale's score, 410 sit-ups, for a class total of 998. They had lost by just a few reps. The teacher clapped Kale on the shoulder. That's my student. It was nothing, Kale said, lifting his shirt to wipe the sweat from his brow, sending the girls into another frenzy. Kale did the most out of everyone, Lulu exclaimed. Alara was quiet, lost in thought. As far as I'm concerned, I won, Kale declared from nearby. The other students were buzzing about the incredible showdown between Aiden and Kale, but mostly about Kale's abs. Alara took a sip of water, her feelings a tangled mess. Lulu plopped down beside her. That was so weird, she mused. It felt like Kale and Aiden were competing over something else. Especially Kale, like what? Alara asked. Lulu leaned in as if sharing a huge secret. Kale likes you. Alara nearly choked on her water. Lulu, what are you talking about? He asked me about you before, Lulu insisted. And he told me that he and you were the real power couple. Alara tried to act casual, taking another sip of water. He's just like that. Don't take him seriously. Lulu peered at her closely. You never get flustered like this. Why is your face all red? It's just hot from exercising, Alara said, making an excuse. What on earth did that stupid fox say to Lulu? Just then, Lulu grabbed her hand, her expression serious. There's something I have to ask you. Across the field, Aiden and Kale stood facing each other. What do you want with Alara? Aiden asked, his voice low and firm. Kale shot the question right back at him. I'd like to know what you want with Alara. Aiden pushed his glasses up his nose. Should I call you Kale? He said, his voice dropping even lower. Or should I call you Nine-Tailed Fox? Back with the girls, Lulu looked Alara straight in the eye. Between Aiden and Kale, she asked, who do you like more? Alara just stared at her, completely stunned. It was late when Alara got home. She dropped her bag by the door and flopped onto the sofa, exhausted. Lulu's question was still ringing in her ears. She had dodged it by complaining that Lulu asked too many questions, but she couldn't get it out of her head. That gym class stirred up trouble for the whole day, she thought with a groan. I don't know what that stupid fox is up to, but I almost wish he'd stop coming to school before he gets me into more trouble. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Kale. I'm going out tonight. Don't miss me too much. Kale likes you, Lulu's words echoed in her mind again. She sat up straight, annoyed with herself for letting the thought get to her. She looked down at her wrist. It's all because of this stupid bracelet. Everything revolves around this stupid thing. Suddenly, she noticed something odd. The small round fox charm on the bracelet was glinting in the light. Has it always looked this real, she wondered? It looked exactly like the fox from her nightmares, but for a split second, it didn't seem vicious at all. Instead, it looked vulnerable, gentle. Elsewhere, Kale felt a sudden jolt, as if Alara was touching him. His phone rang. It was his friend, Jax. Your phone is basically a decoration, isn't it? Jax complained. You didn't even save my number. I couldn't find your house, Kale said dismissively. You can just come find me. Oh, I bet you have no trouble remembering where that little human girl lives, Jax teased. I need you to look into someone for me, Kale said, changing the subject. A guy at our school. His name is Aiden. No problem, Jax replied. But you gotta tell me what's up with him. A few hours earlier, on the athletic field, Aiden had threatened Kale. If your intentions toward Alara aren't pure, I won't just stand by and watch. Kale had scoffed. What right do you have to say that to me? You're not going to keep up this ordinary human act forever, are you? I knew you weren't human the moment I saw you, Aiden had replied coolly. But so what? He had his own reasons for being by Alara's side, and Aiden couldn't stop him. The arrogance of the nine-tailed fox, Aiden had sneered. Just like the gods said. Do you even know the source of the nightmares that have plagued her for years? I doubt you've ever thought about it. You just follow her around, but you've never tried to understand her. You talk as if you know her so well, Kale had shot back. Aiden had pushed up his glasses. The secrets I know would certainly give me an edge over you. Now, after ending the call with Jax, Kale couldn't stop thinking about that conversation. How did Aiden know so much about Alara's past? What was the source of her nightmares? Could it be connected to the time when he ate human hearts? Was it just a coincidence that she was the one who found his tail? When Kale got back to the house, he found Alara asleep at the table, an unfinished puzzle spread out before her. He picked up a piece that had fallen to the floor, his eyes drawn to her sleeping face. Suddenly, he was struck by her resemblance to the woman from his dreams. The memories flashed through his mind, and he pressed a hand to his forehead, feeling dizzy. After a moment, he shook his head clear. He carefully brushed a strand of hair from her face, his gaze tracing her features, the same eyebrows, the same mole under her eye as the woman in his dreams. Could it be her? Alara stirred, her eyes fluttering open. Kale continued to gently stroke her hair as she sleepily mumbled his name. His hand froze. The air felt thick. On her wrist, the bracelet began to glow with a soft pink light. Our connection, he thought, his gaze intensifying. It has to be more than just this. He sensed the change in Alara's eyes. He leaned in close, his voice a low whisper. What is your secret? Her eyes were still hazy with sleep as she started to answer. He leaned in closer, his expression earnest and expectant. She closed her eyes again. Not telling, she murmured and fell back asleep. What was I even expecting, he thought, a small smile playing on his lips. He watched her sleep. Even if she won't tell me, I'll find out more about her, sooner or later. He had a plan. Sooner or later, both her secrets and his benefactor would belong to him. That night, Alara had the nightmare again. The fox had her trapped. Why do you keep haunting me? She cried. Its tail coiled around her tightly, and she screamed, No! As its fur brushed against her skin, she found herself calling out a name. Kale. In the dream, the fox beside her tilted its head. Is my benefactor calling me? She stared at it, her voice trembling. Are you really, Kale? The fox pulled her into an embrace. I'm here, it whispered. Don't be afraid, I would never hurt you. She felt a wave of relief wash over her. Stupid fox, she murmured in her sleep. She slowly opened her eyes and shot up in bed, her heart pounding. She couldn't believe she'd had that kind of dream. And what was worse, she had called out Kale's name. It had to be a hallucination. But why, when he appeared in her dream, did she feel so safe? She noticed the blanket draped over her. Did he cover me? Dressed for the day, Alara was still trying to remember what Kale had said to her the night before. Must be it, she realized. That's why I dreamed about the stupid fox. It wasn't just random. As she was walking to class, her phone buzzed. So Alara dreams about me and even says my name. That arrogant fox, she thought, embarrassed, and quickly typed back. It was a nightmare, don't flatter yourself. Just then, a girl bumped into her as she passed, pausing for a moment. The girl turned and hooked a finger around Alara's bag strap. Is something wrong? Alara asked. The girl's eyes lit up with recognition. It really is you, she exclaimed, grabbing Alara's hand. Alara was completely confused. The girl, whose name was Bianca, explained that while Alara didn't remember her, she had seen Alara many times. Where? Alara asked. Bianca's fingers brushed against the bracelet on Alara's wrist. Their eyes met. I don't think I remember you, Alara said. What class are you in? Your bracelet is so pretty, Bianca said softly, still touching the fur. It looks so soft. Where did you buy it? Alara awkwardly pulled her hand away. It was a gift, she said, thinking Bianca was acting very strange. Oh, Bianca said, looking thoughtful. She quickly apologized for being so forward, then asked brightly, Are you heading to class? Do you know your way around the school well? Have you been everywhere? Are you a new transfer student? Alara asked. Or have I seen you somewhere else before? That's not important, Bianca said evasively. Let's just say I'm a problem student. I like to skip class, so it's normal you haven't seen me much. Alara looked at her awkward expression. Are you skipping today too? Nope, Bianca said. Today, I'm looking for someone. I don't know many people here, but I was lucky to run into you. I don't know many people either, Alara said, trying to get out of it. You should probably ask a teacher. The person I'm looking for hasn't been here long, Bianca explained. But he's so handsome. He's probably already the talk of the school. He has this rare, silver blue hair. Her eyes sparkled. And he has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen, with super long eyelashes. Silver blue hair. Alara knew exactly who she was talking about. Seeing Alara's silence, Bianca asked, You know him, don't you? Meanwhile, Aiden was carrying a stack of boxes. Kale walked up and kicked one of them. You can carry the rest, he said. Get your fox paws off of that, Aiden snapped. What did you say? Kale sneered. You certainly don't act this nasty in front of Alara. He was starting to doubt Aiden's so-called secret. Just then, Kale thought he heard Alara call his name and answered instinctively. But it wasn't her. It was Bianca. Bianca, what are you doing here? He asked, surprised. Bianca ran and threw her arms around him. Foxy, she cried, knocking him back into the stack of boxes, sending them tumbling to the ground. Alara stood nearby, having witnessed the whole thing. Kale tried to sidestep Bianca's hug. What do you want? He asked, annoyed. Sorry, I guess I got a little too excited, Bianca said, realizing her mistake. Kale walked right past her and went to Alara, taking her hand. I was only gone for a minute, he murmured. And you already couldn't wait to come find me? Alara really does care about me, he thought smugly. Alara was speechless, so full of yourself. He glanced back at Bianca. Who's this? You don't know her? Alara asked, curious. Never seen her before, he replied. Aiden looked on, exasperated. Sorry, I got carried away, Bianca said again. Alara was the one who brought me here. Alara was confused. Why had Bianca called Kale Foxy? Did she know he was the nine-tailed fox? The atmosphere grew tense. It's just that your eyes look like a fox's, Bianca explained quickly. It just slipped out. You don't mind, do you? I don't know you very well, Kale said flatly. We'll get to know each other soon enough, she whispered. I don't think that's necessary, Kyle said, turning away. He picked up a box. Alara, do these just go in the classroom? Alara, still processing everything, just nodded. Class is about to start, he said. Aren't you coming? Bianca watched him go, annoyed by his cold attitude. Alara was about to say something to Aiden, but Kale's tail subtly nudged her forward. What was that for? She hissed. He leaned in close. Watch where you're going, he said softly. Bianca glared after them. Sooner or later, he'll come looking for me. The school bell rang. Annoying place with its annoying bells, she thought, turning to leave. She brushed past Aiden. Class is in the other direction, he pointed out. When she didn't stop, he asked, Aren't you going to class? Bianca scratched her head awkwardly. I'm new, I don't really know my way around. She patted Aiden on the shoulder. Thanks for the tip, she said, and walked away. Aiden watched her go, a thoughtful, silent expression on his face. I hope he didn't see through me, Bianca thought. In the classroom hallway, Alara was resting her head on a desk, tracing circles with her finger. She glanced over at someone sleeping nearby. Bianca appeared silently beside her, putting a finger to her lips to signal for quiet, not wanting to wake Kale. What is your relationship with Kale? Bianca asked directly. The question caught Alara off guard. She wanted to deny it. They didn't really have a relationship, but the bracelet on her wrist told a different story. Why are you asking? Alara countered. Hearing there was no relationship, Bianca smiled brightly. That's great! Alara was even more confused. It felt like they knew each other, but she couldn't place it. Before she could say anything else, Bianca declared, I like Kale. I've liked him for a long time. I came to this school for him. Alara didn't know how to respond. She sat up straight. That's not what I meant to ask, she said, but she wasn't sure what she did want to ask. She thought about how close Bianca had acted with him, and how much she seemed to like him. She turned her head at a loss for words. I didn't really want to ask anything, Alara finally said, crossing her arms. You shouldn't be telling me this. You should tell Kale directly. Just then, another student came in and told Alara a teacher was looking for her. She stood up to leave. As she walked out, she saw Kale waking up. He looked at Bianca. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Alara, who hadn't quite left yet, heard him and paused, looking back as the two of them started talking. Later, Alara was walking with a stack of books, when she bumped into someone, sending them scattering. A hand reached down to help her pick them up. Why are you spacing out while you're walking? She looked up. It was Aiden. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention, she said. Did you finish moving all those boxes? He nodded. Did that girl find you again? You mean Bianca? She was probably looking for Kale. Do you know her? Alara asked. Have you seen her around school before? Just a random question, he replied, then added with concern, You've been acting a little strange lately. Is everything okay? Same as always, she assured him. Nothing to worry about. Class is starting soon, he said gently. You should get those to your classroom. As Alara walked away, she thought, I can't even walk in a straight line. What am I thinking about? Aiden, however, was certain Bianca wasn't a student there. The school has no record of her. But if she's here for Kale, why is she always circling around Alara? Alara sat on the steps outside, looking at a text from Kale asking where she was. Home. So early today? I'm heading back now. She was about to type back a snarky reply when he suddenly started a video call. She immediately rejected it and went back to texting. As she was typing, he sat down right next to her. Are we at home? He asked, leaning in to look at her phone. She jumped, startled. How do you just appear like that? He just stared at her, his gaze intense. They were so close she could hear his heart beating. She quickly turned her head away. Why did you sneak up on me? You scared me to death. She sat there, completely flustered. Too bad, he murmured. I think we almost kissed. What are you talking about? She snapped. We're at school. He asked her, Do you know who the old friend I mentioned from my dream is? She looked at him, confused. How would I know? Why are you suddenly asking me this? An image of Bianca finding Kale in the classroom flashed in her mind, and she was about to ask him about it when the bell rang. What were you going to ask? He pressed. Her phone buzzed with another message. Kyle looked annoyed. Who keeps texting you at a time like this? It's getting late, she said, standing up. I'm going home. She started to walk away, then paused. Aren't you coming home? He nodded. Then what are you waiting for? She called back. A grin spread across his face. Oh, he said. I think this is the first time we're walking home from school together. You talk too much, she grumbled. Would you rather sleep on the street? As long as I'm with Alara, he teased. It wouldn't be like sleeping on the street. That night, Alara was replying to messages on her phone when she heard a knock on her bedroom door. It was Kyle. Alara, have you seen my conditioner? She opened the door. You're the one who put it away. I haven't touched it. Before she could react, he walked right into her room. Alara, you're so cruel, he said with a pout. You didn't say a single word to me on the way home. Can I even come in here to look for something? He sat down on her bed. Are you really here to look for something? She asked, her eyes drawn to his loosely tied robe. And can you please put on some proper pajamas before you talk to me? Her phone buzzed again. Your phone hasn't stopped ringing all day, Kyle observed. Who are you messaging? Unlike some people, I'm not that free, she retorted. Now hurry up and find your conditioner. Suddenly, the room was plunged into darkness. What happened? She asked. Did the power go out? Then she realized that clicking sound was the light switch. It had to be the fox. Just then, she felt something soft and furry wrap around her. Kale, what are you doing? She demanded. Why is it so dark? I can't see anything. You still haven't answered my question from earlier today, he said, his voice close to her ear. I wanted to spend a little more time with you. I need to confirm who that old friend is. His fur brushed against her hands, her arms, the side of her neck. It was ticklish, overwhelming. Stop that, she said, her voice shaky. As her eyes adjusted to the dark, she could just make out the faint, white shapes of his tails. If I don't hold on to you, you'll just run away again, won't you? He asked. She froze. He wanted to know if they were having the same dream. His breath felt strangely unsteady against her skin. Besides that, he continued, is there anything else you want to ask? She was silent. She wanted to ask what he and Bianca had talked about. She wanted to know if Bianca was the old friend he kept mentioning. The fox nightmares had stopped recently, only to be replaced by dreams of Kale. The feeling was so strange, she couldn't bring herself to ask. He was always wrapping his tails around her, saying these ridiculous things. She could never tell if he was being sincere or just playing another one of his games. She looked up at him. If I show him how much I care, I'll be falling right into his trap, won't I? But his eyes lately, they didn't have the same flippant, teasing look they'd had when they first met. As she was thinking, he spoke again. That old friend once told me, don't be afraid. Alara went still. He moved closer. I'm here to save you. His voice was a low murmur. She said she would stay with me, that she would always be there. Alara let out a small gasp. I can't remember her face clearly, he continued, but I always feel like she looks so much like you. She looked up at him, her heart in her throat, completely at a loss for words. His tails tightened around her, and she could feel the warmth of his body pressed against hers. Person was my benefactor too, he said softly. And I've only just realized that I was in love with her. Alara's face was on fire. She had no idea what he was talking about. He gently cupped her face in his hands. It was dark then too, just like this. She bandaged my wounds herself. She held me all night, stroking my fur and talking to me. She didn't understand why he was telling her all this. He was talking about someone else, so why was her own heart threatening to beat its way out of her chest? He tilted her head up, his voice barely a whisper. Do you really not remember any of it? She thought it had to be another one of his tricks. He was just playing with her, telling some cruel joke. But as he spoke, fragmented memories started to surface. Images in the dark, of her doing the same things over and over, for the same person. She looked down, unable to speak. I can't remember, she stammered. I don't remember. I can wait for you to remember, he said gently. She froze, confused. What is he doing? His expression was so serious just a second ago, and now he's smiling. What do you mean? She asked. Just because I look like this person, I'm supposed to respond to your feelings? He gently rested his head on her shoulder. Before she could say anything, he interrupted. I knew you blushed when you were lying, he murmured. But I never knew my benefactor could blush this much. You're so cute. I can't look at you for too long, or I won't be able to stop myself from kissing you. Is my face really that red? She wondered. He backed her into a corner. She tried to push him away. There's nothing you're looking for in here. Let me go. She said she needed to rest. Alara, you don't have to be so nervous, he said softly. It's okay. He pointed to his own face, which was also flushed. See? I blushed too. She was too embarrassed to speak. Seeing her state, he let her go. It's getting late. I shouldn't disturb your rest. He smiled. See you tomorrow. Sweet dreams. He turned and left. It was only when she heard the door click shut that she finally let out a breath. She stood by her computer, her heart still racing. She looked towards the door, a strange feeling swirling inside her. Why did I have those memories? Is it possible that stupid Fox's story has something to do with me? His words echoed in her mind. I can't remember her face, but I always feel like she looks so much like you, and I'm in love with her. She couldn't help but wonder what the person who looked so much like her was really like. A woman tossed a stone into the water. They said the demon bead was around here. It's the middle of the night. Should I even keep looking? She heard a sound and pushed aside some tall grass. There, shivering on the ground, was a fox with 9 tails. She felt the aura of the demon bead. Did this fox swallow it? If it did, it'll definitely die. She had only been sent to find a bead. How did it end up inside a small animal? The fox let out a pained whimper. Is the only way to get the bead out to kill it? The fox's eyes fluttered open. The woman cradled its face, looking into its blue eyes. It looks so much like him, it can't be such a coincidence, can it? The 9-tailed fox scrambled to its feet and ran. Does it know I need the bead inside it? She thought, and decided to follow. The fox didn't get far before it collapsed. Another, smaller fox heard the sound and ran to its fallen companion, sniffing it, before letting out a long howl to the sky. It seemed to sense something in the trees, as a demonic aura pulsed from the collapsed fox. The clouds began to cover the moon. How did it run so fast? The woman muttered to herself. It was getting too dark to see, and she still hadn't found the bead. She couldn't go back empty-handed. She sat down under a large tree to wait for dawn. She yawned. I wonder how that fox is doing. Swallowing a demon bead must be agonizing. As she drifted off to sleep, she dreamed she was sinking into deep water, struggling and calling for help. A tail wrapped around her, pulling her deeper. Just as she was about to lose consciousness, she opened her eyes and saw a fox looking down at her. I fell from the cliff. It hurt so much, but at least I still have the herbs. She sighed in relief. The fox swished its tail, watching her. Did it just save me? She wondered, reaching out a hand. The fox flinched back, then grabbed some of the herbs in its mouth and disappeared into the forest. Did it only save me because of the herbs? She thought. The wind rustled through the trees, and she woke with a start, hearing a noise nearby. She crept closer to investigate. She froze. A group of foxes lay on the ground, covered in blood but with no visible major injuries. Nearby, a 9-tailed fox was kneeling on the ground. It gazed down into the water. Who are you? It asked. She knelt and touched the ground. The blood trail ends here. If those other foxes died because of the demon bead, should I report this to the gods? This forest, I'll look again at dawn. She fell asleep again, only to be woken by a loud voice. What a great haul today. 2 hunters were holding up dead foxes. We didn't even have to try to catch them this time. Some god must have sent us this gift. We'll get a good price for these. She looked at the foxes in their hands and realized something. She appeared in front of them. Stop. She demanded to see the foxes in their sack. Where did you come from, little girl? There's none for you here, one of the hunters said, clutching his bag. He held up the dead foxes. They're all dead. Don't want to scare you. I'm not scared, she said. Just let me see in the sack. You said you can't usually catch these foxes. Don't you think it's suspicious that they all died so suddenly? That's none of your business, the hunter snapped. Finders, keepers, are you trying to steal from us, you little brat? She flicked her wrist and a single leaf shot out, slicing the bag open. Dead foxes spilled onto the ground. She gasped at the number of them, but the one she was looking for wasn't there. You ripped my bag, the hunter yelled. You little witch, I'll show you. Before he could finish, she had vanished. The bloodstains from before had dried. The hunters had caught far more foxes than she had seen last night. Did something else happen? Get it, she heard, followed by a cry of pain. The 2 hunters had fallen. What was that monster? It had so many tails, and it was covered in blood, one of them stammered. That monster must have been the one that killed all these foxes. Was it the 9-tailed fox? Is it still alive? She wondered, and turned to leave as the hunters gathered their dead foxes. She followed the trail. It led her deeper into a desolate part of the forest. She remembered the hunter's words. So many tails covered in blood. She clenched her fists. The demon bead must be affecting it. She hesitated, her hand outstretched. Should I kill it and take the bead? When she pulled back the white cloth covering the figure, she found not a fox, but a man, drenched in blood. He slumped against her shoulder. How is he human? She thought, trying to wake him. He smelled strongly of blood and was muttering something she couldn't understand, his hand weakly tracing patterns on the ground. Wasn't on purpose. She took out the herbs she had gathered, wondering if they would be enough. Would the demon bead make him violent and crazed? He didn't seem vicious at all. She moved behind him to apply the medicine, but his long hair was in the way. As she pushed it aside, she froze. His back was covered in several gruesome, deep wounds. She remembered his words. It wasn't on purpose. What had happened last night? I know it wasn't on purpose, she whispered as she began to bandage his wounds. Just bear with the pain a little longer. It will heal. A cold wind blew and she shivered. But when she touched his skin, it was warm. Was it because of his fox nature or the demon bead? As she tied the last knot, she looked at him. He looked so much like the little fox from her childhood. She wondered if his eyes would be the same when he opened them. Just then, his eyes fluttered open. They locked gazes. They were the exact same eyes she remembered from her childhood. Who are you? He asked, his voice weak. She smiled. You're awake. Alara woke with a jolt and went downstairs. Kale was in the living room. He turned and wished her good morning. She walked right up to him and lifted the back of his shirt, looking for the wounds from her dream. His back was completely smooth. He looked at her, confused. She quickly dropped his shirt, her face burning. "What wounds?" he asked. "I don't have any injuries." She blushed even harder, avoiding his eyes. He then playfully lifted the front of his shirt. "Did you only want to check my back?" he teased. Her face felt like it was on fire. "You look so tense," he said. "Did you have another nightmare?" "I think I dreamed about her," Alara mumbled, looking down. "That old friend you were talking about." He reached out and covered her face with his hand. "Was she wearing a veil like this?" She slapped his hand away. "You said you didn't know what she looked like. Why are you asking me?" "I can't remember what happened during that time clearly," he said with a smile. "If Alara dreamed about it, why don't you tell me?" She turned away. "If you can't remember her and you don't know what she looks like, then why did you say she looks like me? Why would you confess to me about your feelings for her?" Alara gripped her water glass tightly. "What is this stupid fox trying to do?" He tilted his head and reached for her hand. "Aren't you curious why you can dream these things? Why are you so certain that old friend is someone else?" "My benefactor." He brought her hand to his lips. "Has only ever been you." He kissed her hand. Her face flushed as different images flashed through her mind. She snatched her hand back. "What? What are you doing? Why are you kissing my hand for no reason?" She punched his arm playfully. "Stupid fox, are you trying to get on my nerves?" But Kyle just kept smiling. "Did you dream of anything else?" "I remember us being much closer." "What are you talking about?" she sputtered. "What kind of dream do you think I had? It was just... He leaned closer to her. "Just?" He was so infuriating, but the fox in her dream had been so gentle. "He was cuter than you," she declared. "Who are you talking about?" he asked, curious. A small smile played on her lips. "The fox in my dream. He seemed so harmless and sweet. He made you want to protect him. But you..." She pointed at him. "You're not as cute." "What do you mean?" Kale protested. "The fox you're talking about was me. He didn't talk as much as you do," she said, crossing her arms. "Oh," he said, his eyes lighting up with understanding. "So Alara likes the quiet, cute type." "Turn everything into light," she said, exasperated. "You're so full of yourself." "Benefactor," he said, his voice suddenly tender. The tone made her jump. She thought of the fox from her dream. "Benefactor, you're blushing," he whispered. "I am not," she pushed past him. "I still have to put away my books from last night. Get out of my way." She hurried out of the room. She could hear him thinking aloud behind her. "I just called her that and she blushed so fast. Does she really like the cute type?" He paused. "It really was me she dreamed about, right? It couldn't have been some other fox, could it?" Alara hid behind her door, hugging herself. What is going on? Why is it that now, whenever she sees that stupid fox's face, all these strange feelings pop up? They feel exactly like her dreams. They're just dreams, but they feel so real. His words echoed in her head. "Oh, so Alara likes the quiet, cute type." After a moment, she shook her head. "They're both foxes. What's there to like? It's just a dream. She needs to stop thinking about it." But then another memory surfaced. "Benefactor, will you come back tomorrow?" Alara woke with a start. Another dream, in class. A small folded note landed on her desk. She opened it. "Sleeping in class again? Not afraid you'll say my name in your sleep like last time?" She wanted to crawl under her desk and die. Who says your name every time they dream? Stupid fox. He remembers everything so clearly. She glanced over at him. He was sleeping too. He only looked peaceful when he was asleep. He murmured something in his sleep. "Benefactor." A scene from her dream flashed in her mind. "Why are you taking such good care of me?" "You hurt your hand getting herbs for me. Thank you, Benefactor. I hope I can see you again tomorrow." Her face grew hotter and hotter as the fragmented memories kept playing. "Don't move, does the wound hurt? Not when my benefactor is here." In the dream, she thinks she was... What are you thinking about, Alara? In the dream, she thinks Alara liked Kale. "Doing?" Kale sat up. She quickly put her head down on her desk, pretending to be asleep and ignoring him no matter how many times he called her name. "I'm so bored when you ignore me," he whined, propping his head on his hand. "I'm going out for a bit." She shifted slightly but didn't get up. He stood and paused by her desk, leaning down to whisper, "See you at home, Benefactor." He then stretched with a yawn and sauntered out of the classroom. She slowly lifted her head. He was definitely faking being tired. He's always so talkative, but today he just had to keep bothering her. Images of him kept popping into her head, and she didn't want him to see her face like this. If he did, he'd just tease her again. "Benefactor, you're blushing. Does this mean you're falling for me?" Her feelings were for the dream version, not the real one. Suddenly, a cheerful voice broke through her thoughts. "What are you up to?" "Where did you come from?" Alara yelped, startled. "Heh, I just saw Kale." Her mood instantly soured. "Was he going to meet you?" "Nope," Bianca said, quickly clarifying. "I tried to get him to hang out, but he ignored me and left." "Actually, There's something important I've been wanting to tell you, but I haven't had the chance. Earlier that morning, Jax had visited Kale. Bro, long time no see. Kale motioned for him to sit. You seem to be enjoying a much more leisurely life than I am. Jax leaned in close. How are things at that school of yours? You should come hang out more often. I'm fine, Kale replied, then got straight to the point. Did you find anything on that guy I asked you to check out? Jax pulled out a piece of paper. I did. His name is Aiden. And he's definitely not human. As Alara was enjoying the view, Bianca called out to her. What's wrong? Alara asked, noticing her nervous energy. Why are you so tense? Bianca held out 2 VIP tickets. I worked really hard to get these, she said. I was hoping you could ask Kale to go out with me. Alara finally understood. She wanted to invite the stupid fox to the amusement park. I think there's been a misunderstanding between us, Bianca explained. He won't talk to me, and I have something really important to tell him. After thinking it over, Alara agreed to help, but with a warning. I can't promise he'll say yes, I'll just pass along the message. Just as they were about to part ways, Kale appeared out of nowhere and snatched the tickets from their hands. Bianca's face lit up. Perfect, she doesn't even need a messenger. He came straight to her, but her hopes were quickly dashed. Kale tossed the tickets back at her. Never been to that place, not interested, he said flatly, and you don't need her to pass along any messages. Bianca quickly blocked his path. But these tickets were so hard to get. And I really have something important to tell you. Hearing this, Alara decided to make her exit. I actually have to go. As she turned to leave, Bianca grabbed her wrist. If Kale doesn't have time, then I'll just have to invite you instead, Alara. Before Alara could respond, a man appeared beside them. Alara is having dinner with me this weekend, Aiden said calmly. I don't think she'll have time. Bianca looked ready to explode. Seriously, where did this guy come from? The sight of 2 handsome men facing off was certainly rare. Trying to defuse the situation, Alara told Bianca, don't let the tickets go to waste. You should find someone else to go with. After Alara left, Kale looked at the other 2. Well, since you both have free time, why don't you 2 go together? He suggested with a smirk. Walking away, Alara thought about what had just happened. Whenever Bianca was around, something strange and coincidental always seemed to occur. And Aiden had interrupted them for a reason. He clearly didn't want her to go. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Wes. Was he coming back? Lost in thought, she ended up at the school's package pickup center. It was a package from Wes. The old man at the counter handed her a yogurt drink. There are a couple more boxes for you, he said. Come by and get one every day. She opened the drink. The familiar taste brought back memories of Wes. He always sent a bunch of stuff right before he came home. She looked forward to going skiing with him. As she was drinking, a figure approached. It was Kale. After a brief chat, they walked home together. Back at the house, Alara collapsed onto the sofa. Kale stood behind her. You still haven't answered my question from earlier. On the way home, he had asked her, were you really going to try and convince me to go to the amusement park with Bianca? How were you going to do it? You already said no, she replied. Why do you keep asking? So, if I hadn't refused, you would have tried to persuade me? He pressed. I was just going to pass on the message, she said, turning her head away. I wasn't going to persuade you. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a friend request from Bianca. Once she accepted, a flood of messages came through, all begging Alara to go to the amusement park with her. Kale, looking over her shoulder, grew impatient. It looks like she won't give up until someone goes with her. Why don't you just agree? She originally asked you, Alara pointed out. Why should I go? You're not really going to have dinner with Aiden, are you? He teased. He was obviously just making that up on the spot to keep you from going with Bianca. His words piqued her interest. She turned to look at him. Do you know what Bianca wanted to tell you? He could read her like a book. I don't, he said, but you seem very interested. She couldn't answer that. The very important thing Bianca wanted to say was possibly a confession to Kale. Suddenly, he leaned his head closer. You know who I like, don't you? Sensing danger, she quickly changed the subject. Right, you like that person from your memories. Why bring that up now? So why is it, he purred, that every time we mention her, Alara blushes? Unable to take it anymore, she jumped up and fled. Aha, if she stays any longer, things are going to get serious. After she left, she sent him a text. I told Bianca I'd go. Are you really going to follow us? This was too good an opportunity to pass up. I'm going. I'm definitely going. On the weekend, Alara got dressed and sent messages to both Kale and Bianca. The moment she texted Kale, he appeared out of thin air. Seriously, this guy is a stalker. They met up with Bianca at the amusement park. Alara, I've been waiting for you, she called out happily. As the 2 girls went inside, Kyle hid out in a coffee shop to keep an eye on them. Just then, he heard a familiar voice behind him. The first ride they went to was the pirate ship. We just got here and you want to ride this? Alara asked, unimpressed. What's wrong with it? Bianca said. There's no line and we can ride it as many times as we want. Nearby, Kale told Aiden. Alara is afraid of heights. I'll sit behind her in a minute. Aiden glared at him. Why didn't you just convince her not to come? What if she gets hurt? And let her have dinner with you instead? Kale shot back. I'm here. Nothing will happen to her. After a few rides, Bianca was having the time of her life. Alara, not so much. As it turned out, neither of the guys had even gotten on the ride. I thought the great nine-tailed fox was so capable, Aiden mocked. You can't even get on a ride? What was all that big talk for? Kale was not one to be trifled with. He calmly revealed Aiden's true identity. Aiden, shocked, was about to question him when Kale cut him off. They're getting off the ride. After a while, Bianca thanked Alara. Thanks to you, I got to go on a bunch of rides I was too scared to do alone. Alara just rolled her eyes. Forget those, why did we even play the fishing game? She hates fishing games. Bianca looked down, suddenly sad. I haven't been to many places. This is my first time at an amusement park. I wish I could come every day. But her sadness lasted only a second. The next moment, she was pulling Alara towards the rowboats. Aiden, who had been following them all day, suddenly realized he'd lost them. Damn, where'd they go? Kale, on the other hand, just pulled out his phone to contact Alara. Of course, his nine-tailed clan could also track people by their aura. He followed the GPS location, but his fox senses told him Alara wasn't actually there. Suddenly, a hand grabbed him from behind. It was Bianca. Earlier, she had asked Alara, Alara, is Kale following us? Alara had stammered, You saw him? Bianca had laughed. My intuition is always right. It seems like fate has decided today is the day I tell him how I feel. She had then borrowed Alara's phone, leaving her alone on a bench. That's when Aiden had found her. Why are you sitting here by yourself? He'd asked, making her jump. He claimed it was a coincidence, but that didn't seem very convincing. After a moment, Alara asked him, Do you know Bianca? Based on his reaction, he didn't seem to. But Alara had a feeling they knew each other. Was it just her imagination? To be honest, Aiden replied, she doesn't seem very friendly. I was worried about you, so I came. Out of nowhere, Alara found herself saying, Bianca said you're not human, and that you owe her money? It made Aiden pause, completely baffled. Even she didn't know why she'd said it. Aiden, you know Bianca, don't you? She pressed. Or rather, you know what she is, and that's why you're here. You came here specifically to find me. Aiden sighed and sat down to explain. He admitted that Bianca seemed strange, and he didn't know what her motives were. But her intense focus on Alara worried him, just like Kale's had at the beginning. Bianca can't do anything to me, Alara said, confused. Do you remember what Kale calls you? Aiden asked. He always calls you benefactor, right? Alara was even more puzzled. How would you know that? Aiden looked down. Perhaps benefactor is what I should have been calling you all along. I never wanted to tell you, but Bianca forced my hand. Your intuition, your feeling that something was strange, you were right. I know Kyle isn't human, and neither am I. He explained that when she was little, she and Wes had been skiing when they rescued a small bird. That bird was him. The whole story was so ridiculous, it was almost unbelievable. Wow, Alara's voice was full of amazement. You managed to keep that a secret until now. Aiden had expected Alara to be shocked, but she seemed to take it in stride. In that case, she asked, do Kale and Bianca know your identity too? I've only ever told you, he said. I don't know about anyone else. Now, Alara was truly starting to worry about what Bianca was up to. Meanwhile, Kale had been lured to a secluded corner of the park by Bianca. You feel it too, don't you, Kyle? She said, her voice trembling with emotion. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been avoiding me. It's your nine-tailed fox aura. Kale's brow furrowed. How does she know my identity? Bianca held out her hand. That bracelet should be on my wrist, shouldn't it? She declared. I was the one who found your severed tail first. Back with Alara, Aiden was explaining his theory. I think the reason she's been following you around isn't just because of Kale, but because of your bracelet. You've been wearing it ever since you met him, right? She acts like she's focused on you, but her eyes are always darting to your right wrist. His words made Alara think. It was true. Every time they met, Bianca would find a way to touch the bracelet. But what did it have to do with her? As she was thinking, she saw something strange. Was it her imagination? Or was the fur on the bracelet starting to turn a dark purple? She had only seen that color once before, the night Kale had first stayed at her house. What's going on between them? Are you worried about that? Aiden asked, seeing her expression. The question made her feel awkward. She quickly changed the subject and offered to take him to dinner. He was thrilled. He had only been joking when he'd mentioned it before. As they talked, it started to rain outside. Alara's gaze drifted to the window, and she grew quiet, not even hearing what Aiden was saying. Sorry, she said, snapping out of it. I was a little distracted. No, thank you, my little benefactor, for gracing me with this dinner, he said with a smile, then looked out the window himself. The rain is getting heavier. Maybe we should leave early. You're right, Alara agreed, then suddenly stood up. Aiden, I'm so sorry, but I think the rain is going to get worse, and I just remembered something I have to do. I'll have to treat you to dinner another time. Before he could respond, she had dashed out of the restaurant. He watched her go, thinking, Is she going to find Bianca and Kale? She was. Ilara ran to the merry-go-round where she had last seen them, but they were gone. A wave of jealousy washed over her. He says one thing but does another. Why did the fur turn pink? Was it because of Bianca's confession, or something else? She quickly sent a message to Kale asking where he was. Just as she was starting to lose hope, her phone rang. It was a video call from the stupid fox, but when she answered, the screen was black and there was no sound. Then she heard a voice in the background. Sir, are you okay? Would you like another drink? The music, the voice, it sounded like a bar. She ran to the nearest one. Inside, despite the storm raging outside, the bar was full of laughter and noise. And there, amidst the chaos, she found him, slumped over a table. She walked over to his side. He slowly lifted his head. You're here, he said. Where's Bianca? She asked. And your face is so red. Have you been drinking? He ignored her question about Bianca. I have, he said, drinking my favorite drink, thinking about the person I like. She noticed the bracelet on her wrist had changed color again. Just as she was looking at it, he grabbed her hand. Alara, he said, his voice low, did you come looking for me because of the fox bracelet? Her own voice was trembling. This bracelet, is it changing color because you're thinking about the person you like? He leaned in closer, playful glint in his eye. Benefactor, are you that concerned about who I like? I already told you, didn't I? The person I like is you. And then he kissed her. Alara's mind went blank. After a moment, she remembered to push him away. Alara, do you hate it? He asked, feigning drunkenness. I'm a little dizzy, you can't bully me. She was completely flustered, covering her mouth with her hand. Who gave you permission to kiss me? In response, his fox ears popped out, as if inviting her to touch them. Before she could react, he slumped forward and fell asleep with his head in her lap. This has to be planned, she thought. Who just passes out on someone's chest like that? Then something clicked. Even though he's supposed to be so drunk, he doesn't smell like alcohol. She turned to the bartender. Excuse me, how many drinks did that man have? The bartender held up a finger. Just as he was about to speak, Kale interrupted, mumbling, Haven't had a drink in so long. How could I pass out after just one? It all became clear. Aha, so you were faking it, she exclaimed. You weren't even drunk, were you? Kale turned and glared at the bartender. What are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen a couple argue? With that, he threw Alara over his shoulder. She struggled, but it was no use. Once they were outside, she demanded, So you weren't drinking at all, were you? You don't smell like alcohol. He looked down at her. I was drinking, he said, drowning my sorrows. How could I lie to my benefactor? I just wasn't completely drunk. Her eyes darted around, unable to meet his. What sorrows were you drowning? Weren't you with Bianca? That gave him the opening he was looking for. You're the one who abandoned me, who tricked me into going with that woman. And you're only asking about it now? What did you two talk about? She asked. Bianca supports us being together, he said, then took her hand again. She helped me confirm one thing, but that doesn't matter anymore. I was going to take my tail back, but I've changed my mind. It's a part of me, and now it's on your hand. That means I belong to you too. When she didn't respond, he continued, Alara, this is what you've been worried about, isn't it? I'm completely sober, and I'm being completely honest. From the very beginning, my eyes have only ever been on you. In that moment, Alara's own heart was in turmoil. But she knew that, without even realizing it, she had already accepted him. As she thought about it, he held out his hand to her. He wanted her to step into his world. She finally made her decision. The fox dreams she had once hated so much were gone now. It's time to be honest, she thought. I like you too.